Hey. So it's been an interesting day. um, so I just wanted to say that happy Saturday or Sunday to some of you. Um, for those of you who may be Sunday. So I guess we'll start with our guests. Sean, do you want to go ahead and introduce yourselves?
You're Ilana.
And you're Sean.
And together we are the
We're
Down Under Cruisers. Welcome aboard, folks.
Yay! Yay! So, can you tell us a little bit about your channel? And I think y'all have an organization.
Yeah, yes, we do. Hey, this should give you a bit of a hint as to where we're based.
Well, not the bridge precisely. We are down in Melbourne, not in Sydney, unfortunately. Melbourne is gorgeous.
It is.
Well, we're the Down Under Cruisers, and Sean started the channel just sort of beginning of that particular time in history, not that long ago, where we were
the Voldemort time?
Where we were in Voldemort.
Mm-hmm.
That virus that shall not be named, and squirreled himself away in the study for many hours on end. Little did I know what he was up to, and he'd created a channel by himself, very quietly. And yes, reluctantly, I got involved because I didn't really want to be in front of the camera. But anyway, here we are. And that's basically how it all started for us. The idea is to encourage people to come and visit our beautiful country and share our knowledge about what can be offered here when you come.
And then also learn to drive on the correct side of the road.
Now,
eat some good Aussie food like Tim Tams and Vegemite and all those sorts of things that Lisa and Tony hopefully will enjoy when they're down here.
I would have stopped at Tim Tams.
And Foster's, right?
Oh, don't say that word.
I had to. I'm sorry. Captain Billy G.
Is Billy J in the chat?
No, he's on a cruise, but I had to kind of throw that joke out there.
Thank God for that. Otherwise, he wouldn't let me go.
Oh, and we also have. Do you want to talk about Helping Hands quickly, briefly?
So yes, we do have the Helping Hands for Cruising channel. As you can see, it's on just above Ilana's head there. Helping Hands for Cruising is our charity. We have a 501c3 in the US, and it's our charity that helps get deserving people, those that have never cruised before, those that might be disabled, those that might even be a carer of somebody who's disabled, who's never had the opportunity to actually see the waves, have a break. It gives them a vacation of a lifetime. We have a cruise coming up in 357 days, and it's on the Carnival Breeze, and it's being run by Amethyst Hayes, and we've got a lady by the name of Roxy going on there, so it's going to be absolutely amazing.
That's awesome, because I know the Carnival Breeze is out of Galveston, so you'll be leaving from Texas.
Yes.
So are you going on that cruise?
I'm not, but you know what? If you'll send me the dates, I might have some PTO. The way things are working out, I might have some PTO kind of coming.
Okay, so this cruise is actually quite significant, and I'll tell you why. It leaves on the 21st of the 10th, 2024. Okay, why is that significant? Is because that is the tail end, 2 years to the date, the tail end of the inaugural group cruise, which was last October.
That is awesome. That is so awesome.
So
a nice anniversary.
We're really excited about that one because, and unfortunately we can't be on it, but we're really excited about that one because not only do we have a real deserving recipient, but we've also got an awesome cruise host, and there's a bucket load of people going on board from the original cruise on that cruise. So you got to get on it.
Yeah. Send me the dates. I know Cruising Scene. I don't know if I haven't scrolled through chat just yet. But I know Cruising Scene. Oh, she's here. I see her in my phone. Sharon was telling us about it, and so I just couldn't remember the dates. But I will definitely, Sean, I'll message you directly and see if I can get those dates because I have not been on the Breeze yet, and that is a ship I do want to sail on before it leaves Galveston because they're doing the rotations.
Yep.
And since we're talking about Texas, I mean, Lisa and Tony, I know you're not in Texas. You're transplanted to Oklahoma.
Right.
But I think Lisa still claims that she's Texan. Yes.
Oh, yeah. My coffee mug.
Will y'all kind of tell me a little bit about your channel? And then I'll go into us and then say, welcome everybody in.
Okay. Well, we basically created our channel so we could share our travels as well as some of our experiences. And here recently, some of the cooking and stuff like that I do. And it's kind of was initially meant to be a cruising channel, but since we don't really have a whole lot of content and stuff right now, we've kind of dabbled in some other ones, such as, going to the restaurants. And then that's also why we started doing the cooking part, just to give us a little bit more content and a variety of things instead of just letting the channel sit there with nothing on it.
Yes, I agree. And we're kind of at that point too, where it's kind of, I went and did something today to kind of create content. So I'm having to kind of reach a little bit harder than the creature. Actually, if you'll notice, I'm in my Ursula. Chloe wanted to be a pink mermaid, so of course I had to be the sea witch. And we went on a sunset pirate cruise, so it was a whole thing. So, but that's, yes, I love that. And Andrew's coming in to bring me the charger for the laptop because I was pulling in the driveway at 8:45 Central Time, and this live was starting at 9. I was like trying not to speed, but luckily Texas highways are 75 for most days.
Glad you made it in safe.
Yeah.
Me too. I wasn't not being safe, but I was also like, woo, let's hurry. So we're Embarkation Nation. We are a family of 3. We cruise with she's not going to be a toddler anymore, but our 3-year-old who is turning 4 years old. We go on cruises, different adventures. And tonight we are going to be talking about Australia journey cruises and what you need to know. Like Sean and the Down Under Cruiser set, we want everybody to visit their amazing country. So I know that anytime I'm on a live with y'all, you always you make me want to go. It's just a couple of things, but we're going to learn about that tonight. And let me welcome everybody in. Well, who's going to be giving the advice? And Lisa, welcome in. She was hoping. Let's see. Journey with June and Brady. Hey, also, if y'all let us know if you reached your goal of 50. Orange Cone Vlog, I hope you're doing well. Hey, everybody.
Bloody Ross.
I know, and he said a comment for you. Sean's on the panel tonight. I'm going to be singing the theme song from the Smurfs all stream. La, la,
Now, wait a minute. Can we actually get a microphone in there? Because I believe Ross has got the most incredible voice.
Oh, yeah? Has he got a great singing voice? I haven't heard him sing.
Well, let's put it this way. Coco, his dog, doesn't seem to agree. But hey, stranger things could happen.
That's true. I mean, I will say I was singing to Moana one day and the dog was howling outside. So
You were having a duet. You were duetting.
I was just, when a banger comes on like Moana, you got to hit that I am Moana. You got to go real high. Sometimes, even the animals outside can hear you outside. Controversial cruising, Mr. Scott. I hope you're doing well.
G'day, Scotty.
Scott.
Yes, I can't say, I know yesterday I raved about him, but he's an awesome friend of ours. Cruising season, Sharon. I hope you're doing well.
G'day, Sharon.
Shaz and Gaz. We've Aussified them already, Shaz and Gaz.
That's it.
Yes. I love their channel because it takes me back home.
Mm-hmm.
No, then they're beautiful people too.
Oh, yeah. Well, I can tell they're amazing. So many of the creators that we've met have been amazing, so welcoming. They've just, they let us know about their amazing cruises. They give advice. They're just amazing. I can go a whole nother, that could be 3 hours of that. I don't think we want that. Hello, Bud Files. I hope you're doing well.
G'day, Bud Files.
Yes, I will look at the dates on that. I think I thought I was gonna have to use some PTO for Jubilee, but the way things are working out with work, I may not have to. So maybe some extra PTO coming up. Hey, Scott McNeil. I hope you're doing well.
G'day, Scotty.
G'day.
Hey, PSV Odyssey. I hope
Sir Paul.
I know. Oh, we're big time tonight. We've got PSV Odyssey in here. I always love Paul's voice. Like when he does his, I'm always like, he's got such a radio voice. Paul, if you were not on radio, you should have been.
Now Donna can't breathe. Seriously, Donna has no problem breathing. It's whether or not Ross can stop the singing.
That's true. I mean, I'm just saying, Ross, if you want to come on and sing in a little bit,
Yeah, come on up, Ross. Come and sing.
I'll send you the link if you want to sing. But I know Tony has done some awesome research, and I know y'all have great things to share with us. So, I guess the first question I'm going to ask is, why should somebody want to come to Australia?
Why not?
I mean, do y'all have wild kangaroos and koalas just everywhere?
Yes.
Just like deer here in Texas?
Absolutely. They're just everywhere. No, we're just, Australia is very unique in a way that because we are so remote, there's a lot of things to offer. We are an island continent which has deserts, rainforests, snow, beautiful beaches, bustling cities, a unique cafe culture, great food. What else? Fantastic people, great sense of humour. We can take the mickey out of ourselves very easily. No one gets offended. And
it's the only country I know that you can eat your way around the world without leaving the country.
That's true. Without
leaving your neighborhood.
Suburb. Yes, correct.
That's that. And I know Lisa and Tony shared that with me, and so did Warmstrong. Like, just one, they said that people are amazing, and
thanks.
We think so.
I mean, the ones I've encountered have been amazing. It's just you two, but well, no, I take that back. There's a few more. I've got maybe 5 or 10, but still, everybody's always been very nice, and that's one thing I hope one day Chloe knows, is that other countries are nice and they're welcoming, and they have amazing things, and that's why travel is so important to me, and I hope for one day her. And Lisa and Tony, I would love for y'all to hear, like, and we'll go in. I know, Tony, you sent me like some questions, but we'll go into like maybe like what you encountered when you first went to Australia.
Okay. Oh, it was the people. When we got into the airport and stuff, the customs wasn't anything like I expected it. They were extremely nice. They could tell we were tourists right off the bat. And so they had a lot of patience with us, and they were just smiling all the time. And, if they even thought we had a question, they came up to us and asked if they could help. And that was just amazing.
Yeah. In Sydney, we had to actually pick up our luggage, or go out, pick up our luggage, go out, come in another door. And there was a guy, he was just like, "Are you looking for whatever?" And we're saying, yeah, we start explaining. He goes, "Oh yeah, this is what you need to do." And he was there waiting to pick up other family members. And he was just the nicest thing, directed us, you need to do this, you need to go here and go around over there. And he was just really awesome, super nice to help us out, I guess I had a big question marks floating over my head. I was like, I don't know where I'm at or what I'm doing. So it was really everybody we came in contact with, well, except for the one taxi driver. Other than that, everybody was great.
Yeah.
But that's anywhere. I mean, have any of you tried to catch a cab like here in the States? I mean, Dallas, Fort Worth area.
Right.
Yeah, it
Chicago.
had something to do with how much luggage we had, and he was not willing to
Oh.
take that much, or didn't think his car would hold it, and somebody else was like, "Oh, well, just come on out here, we'll take you." You know, it's like,
Yeah.
that was awesome. Great.
Hey, it worked out. Worked
Yeah.
out.
People think Aussies are very chatty. Like you'll go walk down the street and you see someone coming towards you, and they might have an interesting T-shirt on. So you make a comment, "Hey, that's a cool T-shirt," or something. Or you're on the tram or the train, and people talk to each other. They're not always buried in the phone. You know, we chat.
Right.
We've got to translate that into American. On the trolley, not the tram,
okay.
and also, yeah, okay.
Well,
We'll
the
stay with that.
subtitles. Yep.
I was going to say, we do have trolleys and trams here, but are they different?
Well, for us, a tram is what would run in the center of the road and connect, and it is like what you might call light rail. Those are our trams. What do you see if you were looking at a picture of something going on in Europe? The public transport that they have in the center, not a bus.
Okay, so like kind of like the Bright Line here, or like we have them here, like the one we don't have them here in Corpus, but maybe like the Tray or something in Dallas Fort Worth area. Okay, awesome. That's good to know.
Well, listen, Tony. Sorry, Jen. You're in Sydney. Have you been down to Melbourne at all?
No, we weren't there long enough. It was.
We literally flew into Sydney, got our luggage, spent the night, like probably 5 hours in a hotel, in the Ibis Hotel there just off the airport. Then flew out the next morning to, well, a few hours later to Brisbane, and we stayed at the Ibis there on the Elizabeth Street, and probably slept a couple hours, wasted some time. Then we went to he needed to get a shirt for his boss, so we kind of went across town to a
Harley Davidson.
Yeah, Harley shop, got the T-shirt, came back, kind of walked around a little bit. With that hotel was like connected to a mall kind of thing, so we kind of walked through there and picked up some things that we didn't fly with that we would need on the ship, and then pretty much we left the next morning. They put this up.
So you were cruising out of Brisbane, were you?
You're
Yes.
doing the same trip, right?
To where? Where did you go? Sorry, Jen.
You don't bother me, I promise you.
Sorry about that. She's a little attention hog here.
Oh.
We left there and we did the transatlantic. Came back into Seattle, so we hit Fiji, Tahiti, Moorea.
So you were on the Luminosa, were you?
I'm sorry.
You were on the Luminosa.
You were on the okay.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And you're doing it again.
Yes.
Yes.
Now, why don't you give your guys a little bit more time?
Because he doesn't have the leave.
No.
I'm sitting at 8 weeks right now that just annual leave that I can take off.
I was going to say, rather than do a repositioning, why don't you give your guys a little bit more time? You come in, you do a 2-week cruise from, say, here to New Zealand, and you spend a bit more time in Oz, because really it's like me coming into the US, or like us coming into the US like we did. We spent 3 weeks there. Most of the time all the time was in Florida.
Well, you know, we did have 2 nights in Texas, actually. We were in Houston for 2 nights.
Yeah.
Only because, the hurricane caused us to stay an extra night. But anyway, we arrived on Hurricane Ian Eve.
Oh.
Well, next time you're in Texas, let us know. And Houston's about 3 hours from us. Well, at least meet up for some good barbecue.
Oh, that'd be
we're
awesome.
about 6 from there, so if we can, we'll come down also.
Yeah.
That'd be awesome. But like I say, it's like us coming in there and saying we've been to the US.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You guys need to spend some time and visit this country.
It's a huge country.
So I realize that this time you're coming in on a repositioning, but next time, come in and do a cruise, do the South Pacific with us, or do New Zealand with us. That's awesome. But at least you're going to spend another couple of weeks checking out this country. This country is huge. It's landmass is just as big as yours, continental.
Yeah.
So if you transposed Australia on top of the US, the continental US, we'd be the same size.
Oh wow.
Wow.
So it's Australia's 2-minute look. You know, it's
Wow.
like I can just
I know
smell the air. Right, let's get out of here.
I knew it was big, but I guess I didn't realize it was that big. You know, like I knew it was big, but yeah, wow, that's something to think about. I know we've got some comments here. Lana, I see your microphone is no longer. Orange Cone's got a question for you.
I could make a comment about something overnight, but yes, it that's yes,
I don't know.
sorted itself out overnight.
I don't know about her microphone, but it helped me. No, what?
Hey, steady on.
Oh, this is going to turn into prime time real quick. Oh boy.
Well, it is like that.
And then Ross said, seriously, now Australia is one of the single greatest nations in the world for tourists. And then Tony and Lisa, y'all validated that. Danny D, the spectacular supporter.
G'day, Danny. How you going?
I hope you're doing well. And then Ross said, Coco says, bark. He has dogs too. He's got beautiful.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I'm going to say this to you guys, Lisa and Tony. That dog of yours, if that dog is not careful, I'm going to lick it to death. It is so gorgeous.
She will be right back with you. It'll be a lick fest. She is something else. She's all speak and no bite. She'll growl.
Very friendly.
Reminds me of somebody else I know, right?
Oh, you talking about Andrew?
No, me. I'm all bark and no bite.
Oh.
You're not even back.
I had to pick on Andrew for a minute. He's not here. Well, he's here. He's corralling our wild child. I heard the spiders are big. I heard that too.
Yeah,
Oh,
not true.
well, they can be, but you don't see them. Like, people think there are snakes everywhere. I've lived in Australia, well, most of my life, and I've seen possibly one snake in my life, and that was in the country. So you don't see them.
That's good to know. And we live out in the country as well, and we have like copperheads and there's a lot of we're near the Gulf Coast, so we have like, you know, rattlesnakes and coral snakes and water rocket. We got all the nasty snakes here. We've befriended it was just one cat, and then she brought her whole family. You know, it started with one. She brought everybody to the yard. Anyways, so we befriended some cats outside in that, because I worry about that with Chloe. Like, you read on Facebook, like, you know, them getting into toys and stuff. And so the cats are, of course, they're not my cats, but they're.
I was more scared of going to Florida. I was more scared of going to Florida for the alligators and the snakes there than I was worried about what goes on here.
We have gators here too. We have them. Yeah. Andrew actually was called into work at like 4 a.m. because there was one in the parking lot just kind of hanging out, and he had to get animal control and his whole team out there to, you know, of course, because people are like, hey, I can go wrestle that. And you're like, no. Let's get the proper authorities here. You just, anyway, we can go on another rant there. But Emily, hi. I hope you're doing well. Not home yet.
G'day, Em.
Hey. Donna says hello. I know I'm a little behind in chat, so I'm trying to catch up, everybody. Please be patient with me. Like this, the rail link in Seattle. And let's see. Jen, I have a pic to show you. Oh yeah, definitely message me and let me. We've been sharing pictures of little ones back and forth.
Oh, that's cool.
Might be sometime late. Oh, okay. Is that the rock and roll cruise? That's going to be sometime late too. I know it was pushed back.
Yeah. And we're being
possibility of us coming to Texas.
We're being forced to arrive.
Forced.
Oh, you know how much we Aussies
We
love
hate
you.
traveling.
You know, love coming over to the US. We're being forced.
Aussies are big travellers.
I've already
Actually.
got my Ziploc bag packed.
Yes,
so-
his allocated Ziploc.
Too funny.
Yes.
Could you imagine? I was joking. I was watching Eddie Lugo and Cruising with Keith last night, and they were talking about luggage and stuff. And I was like, "So 9 bags of luggage is too much?" Like I was joking, but it's so funny because I always hear your joke about the Ziploc bag. I'm like, "Oh yeah, could you imagine if I just had a Ziploc bag? That would be a little rough for me."
That's true.
Yes, that's very true.
Ross, about the rail journeys.
The rail journeys. Something for those that may not be in the know. Nick Peterson he's from Minnesota. He's a train nut. He's coming down under to do the Indian Pacific, which it's a train that runs from Sydney to Perth.
Across the Pacific to the Atlantic on the other
Oh
side.
wow, okay.
Oh wow.
And he's doing it back to back. So he's going there and coming back.
That's cool.
It's
Wow.
Plus,
he's also doing the GAN, which goes from Adelaide to Darwin and back.
Wow,
That'd be cool.
that's cool.
and they have brilliant trains and train trips. Amazing.
I'm a little shocked. Like that's cool. Like I don't know.
I know there's several talked about they fly into Sydney and then take, I guess, a train down to Sydney or to Brisbane from there. And they were just like, make sure you have plenty of time because it's not going to be a 2-hour trip like a flight. And they're
No.
like, oh, okay. So, I mean, just again, not realizing how big the country is. And I mean, it was what little we saw was beautiful.
Yeah. To give you an idea, it's not a 2-hour trip. Sydney Brisbane is as far as Sydney Melbourne, so that's about 1,000 kilometers. So when you think about it, it's 13-hour train up, 13 hours train down from Sydney. So it's like we're this place is huge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, Ross, I know. I don't cheat on dogs. Coco has got a special place in my heart. Yeah. G'day, Karen. Welcome aboard.
Hey, I hope you're doing well. So Karen is a channel I met in she's from England, but she does like a lot of like murders and law like comparisons. It's very interesting channel. I watched probably about 10 or so vlogs from her, and I was just like it was a lot of legal but very fascinating information. So if you're into that kind of stuff, it was it was so cool. I was it's just stuff like I could just definitely watch, and it's like just, and then she does like some comparisons. It was great. So I definitely highly recommend. And then Ross says info coming soon. So Tony and Lisa, I know when you were preparing for your Carnival sends us these awesome deals, right? Hey, here's a free cruise to Australia or $100 or just amazing deals. A lot of things first, that we look at first is the flight. That was I guess the first, it's like, oh, I want to book this cruise, but the flight. About, I know we had some lessons learned with the flight this time, but what did it cost for you last time and this time? Because I think that's kind of what scares, some individuals away, and also how long it was.
Time forever. I don't know. We paid for. I did not book it very well. I'll say that. So we had 6 stops. We went from Oklahoma to Phoenix, Arizona. I think it was from Phoenix to California, Oakland, California, and then from there we flew to Honolulu.
But that was after spending the night in Oakland Airport because
that was very interesting.
we had to that was another one where we had to get our luggage and then transfer to another part of the airport. And then the airport wasn't open all night, so we had to basically sleep in the lobby until they opened and we could check in.
Yeah, that was.
And then we flew from there to Hawaii, from Hawaii
Okay,
to
hold on. We got to Hawaii long enough to get off our plane, find a bathroom on the way to the next gate. When we got to the gate, they were already boarding.
Oh, I've been
So they
there.
go ahead.
yeah,
And then you went from Honolulu to Sydney.
Yep.
To Sydney. Mm-hmm.
And that was actually, we were surprised at how, I mean, we had always flown Southwest on everything we did. And when we got on that flight, it was 100% different. I mean, it was completely different. They were the stewardess and stuff like that were very nice. They were actually giving us food as opposed to peanuts.
Mm-hmm.
You know, having a real sandwich to eat is a whole lot better. You know, and actually we got
We had a meal.
Yeah, we
an
had a whole
actual
meal, and then they
and
came
then-
back later on and gave us a sandwich as a snack.
Yeah.
And so it was
Drinks
like-
were included. Sodas were included.
Who did you fly
And,
with on the long haul from Hawaii?
That was Hawaiian Air.
Hawaiian Air.
And that was our first time to be on there. And of course, you look at the reviews and they weren't that good. And then we get on there like, why were the reviews not good? I mean, this is amazing. So the thing about that was, like you said, we normally do Southwest, 2 bags fly free. You pick your seat when you get on the plane. You just find where you want to sit and sit down. With Hawaiian, we actually had to pick our seat beforehand. So the flight was one cost, and then there was an upgrade fee. And he's 6'3", so he needed more leg room. And so we got that, and that was another $30 a chair. And then per flight. And then once we got to Sydney, we had to change from Sydney to was it Fiji Air? Or?
No, it started with a Q, I think.
Oh, Qantas Air. And then so we had to, upgrade the seat there, and it was just wow. I don't know what the total ended up being.
I would say it was a little over about $2,500 for both of us.
For both of you.
For
with all
both.
the upgrades.
That's cheap.
That's very reasonable.
That's cheap.
That's US dollars. Though.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
It cost us the best part of
About
$6,000 to fly over,
Oh wow.
right? So when you're coming in this time, who are you flying with? How are you doing it?
I'm not booking. we found out yesterday we haven't booked our flights yet to get to California.
Yeah. Well,
So we overlooked that. So we'll have to figure that one out. But from California.
So a couple of choices. You can either look at flying direct into Brisbane. There are flights that are going direct into Brisbane from LAX. I believe Houston as well.
United flies direct.
Yeah, United flies direct. Qantas flies into Brisbane, Sydney, and
Or
Melbourne.
San Fran, maybe, as well.
And San Fran as well, out of San Francisco as well. So those are the airports that you can get to that will get you direct flights into Brisbane or Sydney, whichever.
Or even
Now-
Air New Zealand might get you. Oh, well, it's not direct. You'd have to stop at Auckland for
Yeah.
a couple of hours. We flew Air New Zealand over
Yeah,
with about a couple of hours stop in Auckland
yeah.
on the way there and back.
Well,
But the
that's-
thing is, if you land in Auckland, you got to leave the plane, go and recheck your bags in.
No, ourselves. not our bags.
Your backpacks. They got to go through
We
security
had to go,
again.
yeah.
Whereas if you're flying direct,
ridiculous.
it's totally ridiculous anyway. But if you're flying direct, you don't have that issue.
Well, we found that trying to stay on one airline was extremely expensive compared to where if we broke it up, found out where they were kind of flying out of. Like, for example, we're on Fiji. We couldn't find anybody that actually flew out of Oklahoma City that was a reasonable rate to Brisbane. But we did find that if we took it from San Francisco to Brisbane, it was a lot cheaper. So that's
Yes.
what we did was that we booked that flight, and now we're gonna book Southwest from here to San Francisco.
Here's the thing that I felt, right. if you're flying direct, yes, you're going to be doing your 14, 15, 16 hours, whatever it is, right? But if you're breaking up the flight and it's adding time. So it's not 14, 15. It works out to being like 18, 19, maybe even 20 hours. And by the time you get there, you're knackered. Why don't you just bite the bullet, do the long flight, take the long haul, and that's it. You're done, finished, no more.
That's interesting take, because I think, Lisa, when you and I were talking, we were like, oh my gosh, getting up and moving around, and I know for me, I have a hard time sitting on a flight 5 hours. I really do. But that's an interesting take, that to consider the extra hours, because I think in chat, please let us know if you've considered a flight to, if you've considered going to Australia, if you've looked at the flight, would you have broken it up like Lisa and Tony, or would you fly direct? I'm kind of curious to know as well. Because I would have kind of thought like you, Lisa, like break it up, fly here, fly there, and because I would be worried about sitting on a flight that long. But I think you have an interesting take, Sean. I really do.
Well, yeah, when you look at like, things like blood clots and things like that, the getting up and moving around, of course, having the extra leg room did help. But, we were worried about, that.
Because I have a history. I'm prone to blood clots. And so that's something that we consider, well, we need to be able to get off and walk around some.
Or run, as we did in Hawaii.
Yeah. And that kind of helps. I mean, would it be, if there was a way that we had plenty of, if we could afford to go first class where there's plenty of leg room, then we wouldn't have to worry about that. But
Ross makes a very good comment.
Walk up and down the aisle if nothing else.
Yep. Ross makes a very good comment down below. He says use an air consolidator, and you can fly first or business for 30 to 60% off. So that's worth thinking about when you book your flights. But from my point of view, you get on with the nonsense of sitting on that aircraft, and you do it for the however long it takes. But at the end of the day, it's Ilana was bearing the brunt of my tiredness, which was not a good thing.
Right.
Let me say. And that was just in Auckland. After we'd flown the 13 or 14 hours to get to Auckland, and there I was snapping at Ilana, which is not a good thing. Do the flight, get there, and then go and get your sleep.
Yeah.
I think if you've got the luxury of time, I like your way of stopping somewhere, stretching the legs, even the opportunity, if you can, of having a night somewhere.
Okay, then.
But then you've got luggage. You've got to think about your luggage and.
Yeah.
Well, it's definitely made a difference, but getting the hotel once we landed in Sydney, even though it was just, I think we were only there like 5 or 6 hours, but man, we felt amazingly different than sleeping in a chair in the airport and propping your feet up on luggage and all that. It was, it was great. I do wish we had had more time to see things, even things that I planned to see. We by the time we got back from the Harley shop and all that, we were just spent. We were like, yeah, whatever. Let's just kind of walk around, get some lunch, and go back to bed. So,
G'day, Will.
Hey, Will G.
Hey, Will.
Thanks for lurking. I hope you're having an awesome night. I know there's a lot going on with there's 2 huge group cruises, with the Glory on the booze cruise, and then the Non on the Celebration, and then also it's right before Halloween, so there's a lot of things going on. But we appreciate you all for being here for sure. M says 2 cops walked by. I did not do it. LOL. I'll PM you when I get. Yeah. Just message me when you get home. Be safe. And good night, everyone. I'd stay up, but I'm exhausted. Hey, we understand. Anytime
Thanks
you
for coming in.
we're appreciative.
yeah.
Good night.
And Tony, I know also. So we've got our awesome Carnival or other cruise line deal. We have our flight. What else? Do you need a visa?
Yeah, we actually didn't know about that. We happened to see somebody mention it on the Facebook, the last cruise. They mentioned that you had to have a visa, and we got to looking, and sure enough, to go into Australia, you needed to have a visa, or what they called I think they called it ETA.
Yeah.
The Electronic Travel Authority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thought it was
it only took like 2-3 minutes to fill out, and then I think within about 10 minutes we had our answer back, and we were good to go. And they link it to your passport.
Yes.
So when you go through customs and they scan your passport, they can tell right off the bat that you've got this ETA or the visa or the proper documentation to come into Australia.
And apparently going into New Zealand also, Jen, if you should go that route, you have to have one there as well. Since we didn't go that route last time, we didn't have to worry about that, but we did have to have the Australian. And they told us
when we come into the US. Likewise, when we come into the US, we've got to have the TSA.
Yeah.
TSA?
ESTA.
And they were saying on the page it was going to be like $60, $120 a person to get it. And we're like, okay, so somebody posted, what the icon should look like. So I went on and downloaded it, and it cost, when I did it, it said it would be, 20 Australian dollars. And when I processed, it was like $13.60 in American funds. And I was just like, you need to do this now.
You have to be careful, because there are a lot of scam sites that pretend that they're issuing the visas. So the best way to do that is to go make sure it's from a travel agent who gives you the link. We were told that when we had to do our ESTA for the States, that people have been scammed. It wasn't the true. And that cost like over $100, and it didn't.
Wow.
But what I was going to say to you folks is, when you talk about your US, please don't rub it in.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, the Americans are lucky.
I was proud of the fact that it was $20 and not the $160 they were telling us. So,
yeah,
correct.
I'm sorry.
Actually, people say Australia's very expensive, but I think prices are going up, but Americans will get a good deal.
Yeah,
with
absolutely. Your dollar's
dollar's
doing
very
well.
strong, so
Right.
you're lucky. Doesn't
Yeah,
translate.
I actually mentioned teased kind of tossed it around with Lisa once. I was like, man, maybe when we get done retiring, because I've got a pension that comes in, I was like, my pension would go a heck of a lot further than over there than it would here.
Well, come on down. Don't just come and visit the cruise terminal. Come on down.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, we've talked about, because his dad was stationed in Okinawa, Japan for a while, and we talked about going and touring different things, landing, and he's half Czech. So we were like, well, we could go to the Czech Republic and then just, make the rounds and everything, do that. And then, I mean, we're not getting any younger, but we said we were not going to go back and do the cruise like we did last time. And the offer that we got that Jen's talking about goes to Japan this time. And so we're like, I went in and told the boss, I said, remember I said I wasn't going to do it again? We're doing it again.
Well,
but yeah.
But the main thing that caught my eye, and one of the reasons I pushed for it so much, is because I grew up over on Okinawa. My dad was stationed there, and I left there when I was like 13 years old. And this particular cruise, it stops at Guam, and then the second stop is Naha, Okinawa. And I was like, cool, that would be really cool to be able to go back. And then I got to thinking about it, and we're actually going to be returning exactly 50 years from the day that we left.
Oh, wow.
We left in July of 74. We're going to be returning in May of 24.
How's your Japanese?
Let's just say I know some curse words, and that's about it.
Seriously.
The important stuff. Well, I do remember good morning, good afternoon, and hello. Little things like that.
Okay, so rude question. What do you know better, Japanese or Czech?
Japanese.
Okay, I won't ask you any Czech then.
Well, we know Sul and Peps.
Yeah.
It's about
My father's family's from Czechoslovakia.
like y'all didn't just cuss on the channel, right?
No.
I'm like, I don't know any.
Supposedly, I remember them saying schluck and that was supposed to be whiskey, but I can't verify. I mean, I don't know that for.
We say have a schluck. It means have a drink.
Have a sip.
Okay.
My father's family is from what was Czechoslovakia.
Right.
And then that's close to some South African slang as well. Afrikaans, Dutch.
We say here
Have
have
a
a schluck.
sip. Yeah.
That's cool. Y'all are so fascinating. I'm telling you, every time we chat, like all of you, I learn so much about you. Welcome in, Susanna. I hope you're doing well. Orange Cone says being an expat in Australia is sounding very appealing. That I know I just said that wrong, right? Expat?
Expat. Yep. That's right.
May I ask, what did you think about Fiji?
Isn't that where you went diving?
Yes, I went diving in Suva. I think that's how it's pronounced. Suva.
Yes, I grew up there, so that's why I'm asking.
G'day, Muncie.
I went to the beach, and there was a horrible storm that blew in. We couldn't hardly see anything. We froze to death, and about caught pneumonia because the guy in front of me had the window open on the way back to the ship. So that was not the greatest. But it was, once we got to the beach, and I mean, it was very pretty in the areas that we were in. Now, getting from the port to the beach, everybody talks about how amazing, how beautiful all the islands and stuff are, but they only see the touristy areas. And it's just, we try to tell people when we get to talking about things, you don't realize how fortunate you are to be in the places that you are right now when you see people living the way that they do there in some of the areas that we drove through. And it's been that way in Honduras and some other places. And it just breaks your heart. And like she said, she wants Chloe to go out and see, how fortunate she is here with what we have, and knowing there are other people that are struggling so much more. But what is so amazing, the guy that was our little tour guide, he was talking about everything, but he was so positive and so happy, and talking about college and how it's free for them and everything in the area. And it's just amazing how wonderful everybody was, but yet to see what we would consider struggling. Mm-hmm. And of course your like I said, your vacation areas and things like that are beautiful. Now, Moria was beautiful, but we were in the water, not inland, so I don't know what it was like there. But definitely someplace I'd like to go back and really maybe not be raining that day and be able to enjoy it a little more.
You have to go in the right season. There's only 2 seasons. There's wet season and dry season.
Well, it started dry and became wet very quick.
Wet season is the summer months, out the southern hemisphere, summer months.
Yeah.
I grew up in Fiji and loved it. Went to school there. Yeah. I took Sean back. We went on one of the cruises. I've been back a few times, and I took Sean. I did a nostalgic trip. And believe me, the rose-coloured glasses came off as an older person going back, as an adult, and going back down the old street and whatever. But things have changed a lot. There was a military coup a number of years ago, and it really has changed the cities a lot.
Yeah.
Unfortunately. But in the interior is beautiful. The traditional villages, the people are very happy. They're beautiful people. And I'm just interested in your thoughts about it.
But how cool is it to say I grew up in Fiji, though? I mean,
right?
I don't know. When you look at Fiji or you hear about Fiji, to me, I mean, that's like a bucket list for most of us. And to say, I grew up there. I mean, how cool was that? I mean, I just had to take a moment to say that. I mean, now I love Texas, and I've grown up in Texas, but that's not Fiji. I mean, or Australia. So I just want to say that's cool.
But see, to us, I would say Texas would be pretty cool. I mean, to me, it was just much fun. I didn't think,
that's what I mean. Like it's always like what they say, grass is greener on the other side. But I mean to say, like, I grew up in Fiji. Like, how cool is that? And Lisa, you mentioned I shook my camera. Sorry. You mentioned when I seeing the islands and the inlands for the first time. I remember being 15, 16 on my first cruise, and we were in St. Thomas, and we did a tour as well where you kind of went through the back roads and saw, like, you actually got to see the island, not just here's the pretty beach and
Right.
go snorkel. And seeing what people went through year after year with hurricanes and just tarps everywhere and I would get like shacks almost, and then but seeing how happy and grateful everyone is just to have it was something that stuck with me. That I mean, 20 years later, and I'm like, wow, like it it just kind of humbles you a bit. I grew up in the Dallas Fort Worth area, which is very you know very urban. We're very city, fast paced. Like we're going, not as fast paced as maybe like Boston or New York, but like just it is what it is. And to go there and just encounter just the nicest people and just seeing people being grateful for what they have. I think we get caught up with keeping up with the Joneses.
Right.
Sometimes, especially I know we do, and it's like sometimes you just have to take that step back and just say, wow, this is what I have, and how nice it is and how hard I worked for it. But I just wanted to say that is so cool. I'm like, Alana, you are welcome to any more live, like anytime you want. Like you and Sean are so fascinating to me. And
fascinating. Me
Yeah.
fascinating.
Well, hello. He's from South Africa. Hey,
Yeah, but I've had the operation.
That's hilarious.
Hey, I'm gonna hop back to chat real quick. Ross is saying he is currently full, and with this Australia talk, he's craving a meat pie with tomato sauce.
That sounds pretty good right now. Yeah.
Roll.
Oh yes, I'm getting actually.
Well,
too,
yeah,
actually.
I mean that's traditional. I mean, Australia is one of those interesting countries where cuisine comes from everywhere, right?
Yeah.
For example, you have a look and you see we have meat pies, but then also you go down the road and then you'll have a bit of roux, and further on down the road you might have Korean barbecue, and then
samosas and curry over here.
Yeah, and then you look over there and there's the Greek shop, and so
Middle Eastern have a falafel next door, and it's amazing.
Everything is Australian fare, to be honest. There is no. I mean, you could even go down the outback and get a Wichita grub as well. I mean, that's interesting. Wash it down with anything but Foster's. You're right, Ross. You were quite correct.
And Muncie said the same here with Columbus, Ohio. Yes. And June, I saw. Yeah, Andrew texted me when we were coming back from the Sunset Cruise, and he's like, Matthew Perry died, and I was like, are you playing with me? Like I thought he was, like, how sometimes you see these like fake tabloid type things, and not that Andrew would play with me about something, but like fake tabloids, and I feel like I lost this is gonna be a play on words. I feel like I lost a friend. I watch Friends every night, and Matthew Perry's one of my favorite, in the show. So I'm a little shocked still, because I found out about an hour ago, and I just kind of like, what? Like, it's so sad. Prayers to everybody, his friends, family. I just can't imagine. But anyways, I was so sad. Like, I don't know. And I try not to let celebrities like really get to me like that, but the Friends characters are a little different. Man, I'm so excited. I keep hitting my camera. I'm new. I'm sorry.
I'm blonde.
No, well, I do have this like nice curl so I have Andrew and I both have curly hair. So if y'all have ever seen Chloe's curly hair, it's like ringlets like this, but Andrew's are even tighter than mine. and I keep like messing with it. So sorry.
I know exactly what you talk about. I do it all the time.
You too, yes. You know, I do remember when you were dressed up very, very nice and had the hair and the. Seems
Can
like
I
a
tell
bet
you-
was lost.
He's wearing the dress.
Can I
his
tell?
dress.
Can I tell you something? The way I looked was exactly like my mother.
He got it right.
I did.
Did you like hold up a comparison photo?
I didn't have to. Ilana did. She looked at me and she
Even
went,
better.
"Oh my!"
You thought you looked like your mother.
Yeah, I did. At any rate, it was for a good cause.
I mean, y'all could probably tell me and Lisa are related, you know. If you look maybe. Oh, love the Odd Couple. Yes, I was so sad. I'm gonna have to have like a Matthew Perry.
You're right. My roots are showing.
He is actually fair. Believe it or not.
Are you blonde?
Wow, that's very young. Gosh.
No. Are you blonde, Sean? Or are you?
He's fair.
Oh, okay.
He was fair.
I had brown hair. Brown hair and green eyes, hazel eyes.
Brown hair and green. Okay.
Well, your eyes are still hazel. They don't change.
Those didn't change.
They didn't change when they did the cataracts.
You didn't get new pupils, you know. Did you? No, of course not.
Of course, I get new pupils every day. I got to teach somebody.
Yes, okay.
Seriously.
Oh, oh. Will G says he was only 54. That's so young.
Way too young.
Yeah.
Yep.
Sean follically.
Yes.
Follically impaired.
Yes.
Ross gets me, you know. He really gets me.
I guess. Ross.
So
Hey, so here's a bit of a trick question.
sure.
What's the background?
My background?
No, ours.
The bridge?
Not personally, but
I know you're going to quiz me on the name, and I can't remember it because I'm on the spot.
It's the music.
Sydney. It's in Sydney. And that's
Isn't it a music hall or something? I
It
forget.
oh, I feel horrible.
We flew over and he said, "Look, there it is."
Yeah.
So behind us is the coat hanger,
The code.
affectionately known as the Sydney Harbour Bridge,
Okay.
Okay.
I was going to say Sydney
is-
Harbour Bridge, and I felt like that was wrong.
which is where Paul Hogan got his start out in life. He was one of the guys that painted that bridge.
Look, our chat come to the rescue. The hangar, Sydney
And
Opera
then-
House.
Behind
Oh,
us is the
there you
Sydney
go.
Opera House, which you were correct. It is a showplace. But interestingly enough, between the coat hanger and Sydney Opera House, what is there?
gosh.
Sean, I feel like you're quizzing me, and I can't
I'm not
see
only
your own
quizzing you, I'm quizzing all of you.
geography.
Just to see if you all are switched on
A
to
river.
Australia.
It's the harbor.
Yes,
Yes.
that's where you'll be cruising from if you cruise out of Sydney. That's Circular Quay, where the overseas passenger terminal is, right there in front.
Okay.
And right on the
Just walk
left-hand
around.
side, so which is hidden on the other side, right? So
Yeah.
wait a minute.
The cruise
On
ship
that
is
side over there is Sydney CBD.
correct.
Over
Which is
this
the cruise
side
port, right?
here is Taronga Zoo
Okay.
And I tell you what, those giraffes have the best view,
of
I
Sydney.
think, of any zoo animal in the world. Amazing, having the harbour. It's fabulous.
Well, that was one of my goals, is to visit some place and see animals unique to your area, and we did not get to do it. So I'm going to try to hit the koala sanctuary on our next trip, but we didn't have time for that even last time. So it was,
We're actually coming in a day earlier.
yeah,
Are you going into Sydney or back into Brisbane?
back to
Brisbane.
Brisbane. Yeah, I think we're flying straight in there this time.
Yeah, from
So
Okay, try and go up to Australia Zoo, Steve Irwin Zoo.
okay,
That is amazing. It is a little bit of a drive, but there'll be a tour, I'm sure.
all right,
That's the zoo to go to.
okay.
all right.
And that is one of the reasons why I say to you, this time you're already committed on the cruise going back. But next time you come for your 4 weeks or whatever it is you get. Yes, do a cruise to New Zealand or whatever, but spend some time in Oz, because you're coming here and you're just getting a sniff. Stay, enjoy. You get to climb that bridge.
Right. Well, I definitely want to go back because I want to scuba dive.
Yeah.
And that's
Hey,
one of
Sydney
my,
Harbour's got some of the most interesting scuba stuff. And
Yeah,
if you
that's
come
what I've
down to
heard.
Melbourne, you'll be able to see the underside of the Yarra because it's the upside down river.
Oh no, they can go to Chinaman's Hut where
That's-
the seals
that's
and the
correct.
dolphins are. I've swum with the
Correct.
dolphins and the seals out in the bay. It's beautiful.
Don't the sharks follow the seals?
I asked. I took a group of
Only when
school
they're hungry.
I was teaching, and I said before we got in the water, I said, "Have you ever seen sharks?" And he said, "In all the years that we've been doing this, we've never had a shark."
That's okay. Because like if you've watched Shark Week, with Snuffy the seal, like they teach you, of course I know that's a
I'd be more worried about things like the box of the jellyfish, and because sometimes, particularly along the Queensland coast, the beaches are closed because of all the stinging jellyfish.
and Hawaii's had that too. I know when we were there were some beaches closed due to the box jellyfish as well.
The only difference is the box jellyfish here and the box jellyfish in Hawaii are very different.
Really?
The box jellies here will kill you.
We probably have more venomous things in the ocean than we do on land, actually.
Well, I was
I
terrified
will,
of things on land.
I will say this
Stonefish.
to you, Tony. If you want to dive in the Northern Territory, Northern Queensland, do so, but don't pick up anything.
Oh yeah,
You've got crocs to worry about.
yeah. That's one thing I've learned is that you're in their house, and so you don't touch anything.
Correct.
We
Because
learned that very
there
early
is
on.
there is a creature there called. Have a look at it. It's called the cone shell or the cone snail. Right, either of those two. Look it up on Dr. Google. It actually has the most exquisite looking shell. It's beautiful. Do not pick it up. You will be dead in 30 seconds.
Oh my.
Oh wow.
Do not pick it up.
Well, that is good to know because I would be like, "Ooh, look at that shell."
It'll bring a human.
All you need to do is go, oh, look at that shell, and just
It's just
leave
so
it
quick
there.
it darts out, almost like a tentacle.
Yeah, no. I've never been a fan of going down there and picking stuff up. In fact, it kind of irritates me a little bit when I am on dives and I see people doing stuff because I was brought up to respect the ocean and respect the ecosystem.
Yeah.
And I know that coral takes a long time to grow, and the slightest bit of damage will kill it.
Yeah.
And there's poisonous things, and so just leave the stuff alone. You're in their house, so leave them alone. I mean, you're basically there to visit and watch, and that's it.
That's it.
Yeah, good philosophy.
If we're being honest, I feel like we should have that rule on land too. Just don't touch it. Just don't bother.
Yeah, absolutely.
Admire and move on.
Hey, listen,
know,
a snake won't bite you if you don't antagonize it. They're more scared of us than we are of them.
Right.
Now, spiders, on the other hand, I always try to teach my kids, look with your eyes, not with your hands. Don't touch, leave it alone.
My backhand with spiders is really good.
Do what?
What was that? When she was talking about creatures a while ago, that's what I was like thinking about, because we'd see the military photos with the spiders that were like this big, and the legs were as long as your arm, and I'm just like, oh my god. So when we did decide to go, I'm like, I'm gonna be watching, I'm shaking out everything, make sure I don't find one of those, because
you won't.
You don't have to worry.
You won't.
You do not have to worry.
Invariably, you'll find the redback spider might be in your garage. You don't have a garage, so you don't have to worry about it. And if it bites you, it hurts like hell, but you'll be safe. You'll be alive. There's no problem with it. A funnel web spider generally goes in the garden somewhere and it hides. And it doesn't like being around people, so it's not going to get you. It's just going to hide away. So you don't need to worry about it.
But and it's funny, like we sometimes get a little worried about other countries, right, and their insects or animals, or but we have black widows here. My mom had like one of her sheds. It was like a hangout for them. It was and they're very same thing with brown recluses. My brother was at work and moved a box, and one I guess was in it, and it went down his shirt and got him. I mean, but we're always more on guard when we're on travel. When honestly here, and when I say here, I'm speaking like Texas, but we've got scorpions and those little bark scorpions. They still hurt, and spiders and stuff. But we're comfortable, right? Because we're at home. But when we're on travel, I saw a spider on the internet, so they must be infested over there. When truthfully, it's probably like your neighbor down the house.
Look, let me say this from our point of view. We are more worried about the lead poisoning than we are about a spider bite.
Like in the water, lead poisoning, or just
no, your gunshots. We're more worried about that than we are about being bitten by a spider here or a snake.
Well, and that's a whole different topic, but
absolutely,
definitely.
But the comparison I make is that our animals are not as dangerous as everybody thinks.
Right.
Right.
And that's what I was kind of saying too. Like we definitely here in the United States, if you just looked on Google, it'd be like, oh, they have black widows and copperheads and rattlesnakes, and we're like, you never see one.
Right.
Same here.
Jason said that Kmart's in Australia, and he was disappointed that none of the non-group cruise members visited Kmart in St. Thomas. I was kind of surprised too, and I didn't even ask Sherry or Destination Fun if she did. I know they were probably on an excursion. And hi, H. Simon, 1981. I hope you're doing well.
G'day, how you going? Hey, listen, Muncie, the best way to fix that one, mate, is to come on down under. Come check out the Kmart's. You'll love them. Shop to your heart's content.
So if someone's going on your group cruise and sailing, under the beautiful bridge, the hangar there, the Sydney Harbor Bridge, do they need to have vaccinations or anything like that? Are y'all checking, is there, and I'm not saying just COVID, but I'm talking like any special vaccinations to enter Australia? I know like when you visit some countries, you have to be up to date on certain vaccinations. Do y'all have that?
Not anymore. No, I don't think so. No.
So we weren't advised of any when we came last year, but thinking about Japan, we might need to check into that.
Well, last year we had to be vaccinated.
Well, yeah,
but no, they've dropped all the vaccination requirements and stuff like that. They don't even require the international flights to be masked anymore. But that's not to say that you won't come across an airline that might require it. The country itself or the government itself does not require masking and stuff like that, but the individual flight lines or airlines might.
Well, she's not talking about just COVID. She's talking about mumps, measles.
Right, like,
just
flu shot, any of those.
The cruise lines here are suggesting it's not compulsory, but there's a mask if you want to wear it. It's not compulsory.
Right.
And that's how it is here too. So that's good. I was just kind of curious because, I can't think of any offhand, but, I know I've had friends visit other country, if they're going, like, let's say on the safari, on a safari in Africa, Africa or something, needed to be up to date on certain vaccinations. So I was just kind of curious there.
I will suggest, folks, whenever you're traveling in and out of any country, we learned that when we came over to the US and we went on the cruise. whenever you're traveling around, make sure you've got all your documentation around with you.
Yeah.
You know,
We
when
got
we
caught,
we got caught when we went out on our cruise on the Horizon. So we had all our documentation with us when we came into the US, but they wanted to see our
They wanted our Esther on the way
on the way
onto
out
the ship,
onto
which
the ship.
I wasn't expecting. I didn't have it in my hand luggage because I thought we're already in the country. We've gone through customs. We're leaving the country to go on the cruise. And I got held up. I don't know why they got him through. And he didn't have his Esther because I had all
It's
the
the good
paperwork.
looks, honey. It's the good looks.
And oh boy, it was a little bit of a hassle, but they got me through in the end without it, but
Right.
it was unexpected.
So don't leave that documentation in your check-in luggage. Keep it with you in your carry-on.
That's
But
great advice.
Well,
But
one of the things on the last cruise, the transatlantic, they actually took our passports when we boarded. As we checked in, they made us surrender our passports, and they kept them until we were just a couple of days outside of Honolulu.
Yeah.
And then they gave them back, and it had something to do with I think it was Fiji, is what we had heard, is that they needed them so they could get us through customs in Fiji a lot quicker. Whether that's true or not, I don't know, but that they didn't give us the passports back until after that. So it's best if if you're going to do the transatlantic, maybe make a copy of your passport to keep with you, or maybe we have the passport ID, which doesn't help you get anywhere internationally, but I look at it as another good form of identification. You have your driver's license and then you have a passport ID. I mean, that's, to me, that would be just a really good form of identification.
Mm-hmm.
But on this cruise that we're fixing to go on, I don't think they're going to do this. They're going to let us keep our passports because Guam is a U.S. country, so that's no big deal. The next one is Okinawa and Japan. Well, Okinawa is under Japan's rule. And there you have to have your passport on you, because if you don't, you can be stopped and detained for questioning if you don't have your passport.
And that makes sense. I mean,
And then the next stop is Alaska, so I don't see where they would be taking our passports since we have to have them in Japan.
Saying you're always told on the cruise, leave your passport in the safe, and if it's needed, then someone from the ship will get it and bring it to you. But this, I mean, it sounds like we got to have it in our pocket or purse, as we're walking around. So
they made it sound like they were going to check it as you get off the ship to make sure you had a passport, and then of course you'll have to show it when you get back on with an ID.
Yeah,
we always carry our passports on us. If something happens, if we get knocked over by a car when we're at a destination, there's some form of identification there.
we leave ours on the cruise ship, but I photocopy them, and so at least I have the number. I can say it's on the cruise ship in the safe, but here's my numbers, here's my identification, something to where they could at least look me up or go to the cruise ship and get it. That's what we do, but I'm more afraid of leaving it in the country, so I lose everything. So that would be my biggest fear.
Do you, Jim?
I do. Almost left my glasses tonight. I was going to tell you that offline. I lose everything. I mean,
so how come Andrew's there? You haven't lost him yet.
Well, he stuck to me. I keep an eye on him.
Yeah, and the same thing goes with your insurance card, medical insurance cards and stuff like that. Make sure you have them, because there's some countries that if you can't prove that you can pay for the visit, they're not going to treat you.
Right.
A big statement, right? Anybody who leaves your hometown and you're going on any travel, get travel insurance.
Yes.
Yeah.
And make sure that it covers
important.
everything. Just get it. Don't argue. Just do it.
I agree. I agree. I've mentioned before, when Andrew and I were younger, we're like, oh, we don't want to pay that extra $100 whatever dollars, and Andrew's doing, about 10 drinks in at, Cozumel, and hey, I'll do backflips and flips into the water off the iceberg, no problem. And I'm like, we were stupid. Don't do that. lucky is more the word. Nothing. He didn't break anything.
Right.
But now I think about like with Chloe, like she has asthma and certain things trigger her, and she has a birth defect in her right lung, a slight. She'll outgrow it, and no need for surgery. But when when her asthma triggers, it kind of closes off that right lung, so her CO2 levels dip really quickly. Like she escalates. She can go from like 90s to like low 80s pretty quickly. And especially if she's got like rhinovirus or common cold or something, it really triggers it. We've ended up in the hospital several times for it and finally figured out what was going on. And so I started thinking about, even with her, like if we've got to get her she's having even asthma, and she doesn't get certain steroids to her pretty quickly to release that lung, it like she may have to be airlifted. And it's just, you don't think about that with her. Oh, she's only 3, but you just never know. I did want to catch up with chat real quick. I didn't want to cut anybody off, but Orange Ross said, I was swarmed by a nest of black widows when I lived in Vegas and almost lost my arm. Yeah, those black widows. Mm-mm. No thanks. Captain Billy J said he saw one of the Kmart's on the skylift. That's cool. I looked at that skylift when we go in March. Yes, yes, I sure am. I live in Australia, and yes, the Kmart's are really good here. I'm sure you can find something for your daughter. I loved Kmart when they were here. I really did. They always had good pricing. I am
We
excited.
have one an hour east and an hour and a half west. And I literally drove an hour and a half west to go to Kmart because we went all the time growing up and I missed it. I'd much rather go there than some of the other places that we have close. But they've all shut down. They've all shut down here in Oklahoma.
I've just got a quick question.
Sure.
H. Simon, whereabouts in Oz are you, mate?
One thing we don't have at our Targets and our Kmarts are the supermarket section, the grocery section.
Oh, really?
We don't have those in, yeah.
So it's more like a department store, like clothes and home
It's
goods?
clothing and homewares and things
Okay.
like that, but we don't have the grocery.
Similar to the Targets,
Oh, it's in Newcastle. Ah,
Okay.
okay.
Newcastle.
It's just
I think it's
not
closer
far
to
from
them
Sydney.
Oh,
than
okay.
you.
We have friends in Newcastle.
Newcastle's like about an hour drive out of Sydney.
That's, oh, wow. Jason likes how Australian Kmart still use the old logo. Yeah, that's cool. Bam Manola. I hope
G'day,
you're
Bam
doing well,
Manola.
Billy.
How are you?
Hope you're feeling well, Billy. Yes, we do have an inhaler for Chloe. We have 2. We have her daily. It's twice a day. This is like a preventative, and then we have a Buterol for when she goes into when she's having her asthma attack. And we also have a steroid that our doctor has prescribed to us that we are to carry with us on anywhere we go. We must have it on hand because that's what kind of prevents her from being in ICU. Because when she escalates, it's not even like we've taken her to emergency room and it's straight to PICU. And that medication has helped her not end up in the hospital probably in the last year. So it's been really, really helpful for us. And it's just if she has, rhinovirus really triggers for her. I don't, it's just.
Do you have a nebulizer for her?
Does she go on a nebulizer?
She does. And used to, she would fight us all the time. Like, I mean, there was one night Andrew had her feet and she was like wrapped around him like a snake, and I had her arm, and like we were just trying to get her to keep it on, and she was fighting us. I mean, she was like twisting around, just so angry about it. But now that she's older, she'll even bring it to us, and she knows it helps. It's not to hurt her.
It's good
Yeah,
that
she understands that now.
Oh, good on you, mate. Yep.
She does. I mean, I'm sure she feels better because I had asthma growing up. That instant, that relief of like being able to breathe. My mom worked at Kmart when I was a kid. That's cool. Yeah, kind of like the Walmart ones. Ours had some grocery here, but it was a small one. We're getting a Target. They actually tore down the Kmart and now they're putting a Target in its place. And I'm not I like Target, but I haven't shopped at Target in probably 4 or 5 years just because there's not one convenient to us. And so I'm kind of excited. I used to love the dollar section at Target. Do y'all have Target in Australia?
Oh, I love Target.
Okay, cool.
The clothes are fantastic.
Excuse me, it's gone up market.
It's changed a lot.
Target.
Yes, or the red, we call
Target.
it the Target, or the red circle boutique.
Mm-hmm.
Hi, I am Betty J. Gaddis.
Betty, how you doing?
Yes, working on that 4,000. YouTube last night took away 30 hours. I almost wanted to cry. But it's okay. We're still doing it. Yay, you're home. Yeah. Have a great night. Be safe, Emily. So what about medication? Since we're talking about like department stores and you know, prescription, you know, like having medications and stuff. Can you, Tony and Lisa, you may know this. Can you take medications with you? Is there rules to it? And then if, let's say, Chloe needed one, is there a way to get medication in Australia? Like if I'm going on a cruise or visiting for the week or something?
The suggestion would be in the original box, so it's clear, and have a prescription with you, because in the States you call things by a different name. So if you have the prescription, the pharmacists here can figure out what it actually is and what it contains.
Yeah.
Like what you call one thing, we will call it something else. So have an original prescription and keep medication in original boxes.
Yeah, and you can bring medication for somebody in your immediate family as long as it's for their use.
Yes,
is kind of what I have been reading on, and they, of course, they go over the common sense stuff. Don't bring it in and sell it to anybody, and if whatever you bring in, don't leave it there for somebody else. Take it back. Whatever's extra, take it back with you. And I think there was like a 3-month supply is what you can bring in.
Okay, that makes sense. I mean, which if you're staying there for a week, you probably don't need a 3-month supply, but
Yeah.
Well, you never know. You might be held up. You may end up being. You never know what happens. It's always good to take an extra month.
I agree.
Just in case.
Just in case. You just never know.
And
Or
give it advantage when you're traveling too.
Yeah. A lot of people here, they'll say, oh, well, I'll just put it in my little, daily pill thing and take that. And they were like, absolutely not. Make sure you, like she said, make sure you have the original bottles and prescriptions. And I've just, I know in my personal life how that can cause problems for people not to even here locally have your medication in your pill bottle. I can imagine going to another country and not having that information. I mean, that's just, I know they do it. I know they get away with it, but I'd rather have it, not need it, than need it, not have it. And, always err on the side of caution and stuff like that, especially when it comes to medication. Yep. And one thing they did tell us too was make sure you claim all this stuff when you get to the airport. So I've got a list. We've got, this medication, this and this and this, and he's got dive shoes that may have sand on it from, this other port, and they're just looking at me like, okay, move on through. No. They told me, I think I got some peanut M&Ms in there too in the bottom of my bag, and they're like, okay, go, because they're like, you don't bring any nuts into the country and all this, and I'm just like, oh God, we didn't finish the M&Ms on the plane. What am I going to do? So again, went overboard. But I'd rather go. I just vomit all this information, and they're just looking at me going.
And you generally find if you do vomit, they tend to want to get rid of you as quickly as possible, rather than. I mean, we had when we came into Houston, there was a guy that they were asking 1,001 questions before he actually stepped forward before us.
Oh man!
Then there was this other couple of young girls, and I think the guy behind the counter was just trying to spend as much time with them as he could, because he was trying to talk about all the good things and the negative things.
All the safety.
Oh, okay.
And I kept saying to Sean, right, you're going to keep your mouth closed. You're not going to make any smart, funny comments. We don't want to be, because we're we've been told that the customs in the States, they're very strict and very stern and whatever. So I said to Sean, you're to shut up. Yes, sir, no, sir, or yes, ma'am, no, ma'am. And
Speak when spoken
we went through without any questions whatsoever.
In fact, we had more questions going on the cruise than we did.
Yes, we got the full treatment at the port, cruise port, yeah.
That's interesting to me, because you, like you said, you would think it's the other way around. Like, I'm already through. I'm just getting on the cruise ship, but
Go figure.
I know, it was crazy.
Yep. But you'll find that the Aussie.
And we got yelled at. I got yelled at as well. It was like horrible. I had a horrible experience
what?
in Miami.
Yeah, because
we were helping a woman with a seeing eye dog who was part of our group cruise, and
her
elderly mother who was on a scooter. So Sean was helping Deb with the dog and carrying her hand luggage, and I was with her mum helping her with her scooter and her hand luggage and getting through. So I had his boarding card with me as well. Well, I got absolutely literally yelled at by this woman. Why have you got 2 boarding cards? Because this is my husband right behind me. His hands are full. Well, I got a right telling off that no, we each had to have your own, and virtually how dare me. And I was ready to cry, I tell you. I was so taken aback by this woman yelling in my face.
I experienced something similar in Galveston. Trying to remember which cruise it was. But same thing with Chloe. They wanted Chloe to have her boarding. I had her boarding card, and they were like, she needs to have it in her hand. I'm like, she's I don't even think she was 3 yet.
Yes.
She's
crazy.
Are you kidding me? Like,
it would be in her mouth.
It would be in her mouth. You're gonna find it in the floor. Like, and the lady was kind of smart with me about it. Like, well, that's the rules. Well, okay, I understand that's the rules, but where's the common sense here? I mean, I can understand if it was like 15 of us and we've got our backpacks and we're like, yeah, cruise and ready to get our drink on. But you obviously see that she's like 2 or 3. Like, what, are you kidding me? But they were, and then once we got on the ship, it was like, you don't need those. I mean, I was like, what is going on here?
Wow.
But
some people are officious. They're officious for the hell of being officious.
Because I thought this is the start of our cruise. It's the first time we've been there, and this is the attitude of this person. It was horrible.
I feel so bad for you because, I mean, like, for me at least, I was like, excuse me, but I mean, I couldn't have, like, I don't think I would have been that way if I was in like Australia, because I wouldn't want to, upset anybody, and I'm so sorry that happened to you.
Oh, yeah, thank you. But it was just, I think she was just a bad day, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, and that's, and it's like, I understand rules are rules, and I'm not going to encourage anybody to break rules, but let's have a little common sense.
If you don't, I mean, there was nothing to say, was there a sign saying you each had to hold your own boarding card? No.
I mean, they say it, but I mean, you're scanning it. So, I mean, how hard is it for me to be like, Andrew, Jen, Chloe, like,
we've done that.
And you see 3 bodies. I mean, I can understand again if we're, not carrying anything or not helping somebody, or, I mean, I'm assisting my child. Like, you're assisting a person who needed assistance. Like, ridiculous. Anyways.
So let's turn this around. We took, as you may or may not know, we took Mom and Dad on their first cruise ever. And Dad walks with a walker, and so we get to the edge where just by the gates, and one of the porters looks at my dad and goes, "Mate, I think you will be." This is in Melbourne. He goes, "Mate, I think you would much rather be pushed around in a wheelchair, wouldn't you?" And my dad, being the way he is, well, yeah, great. So he gets in the wheelchair. That leaves somebody to push the walker. Mum, you push the walker. So Mum's pushing the walker. Dad's being wheeled in the wheelchair. We get up to check-in, and they go,
"Please,
come this way."
Straight through.
Our check-in time was like for 3 hours later. Come this way, and we got
15 minutes.
We were checked in 15 minutes.
For the cruise, and we through because we had a wheelchair and a walker.
So, do you have any wheelchairs?
Right? I mean, I can maybe have a foot injury, you know.
Just borrow some crutches or something.
It only works getting on apparently because Tony got hurt on one of the cruises, and we were, I was looking for something. Look, I'll push him off if I. And they were like, "Oh, absolutely not! You didn't request it the day before," and blah 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 blah. And I'm like, "Okay, you're just going to have to lean on your suitcase. Come on, let's go."
Yeah, I remember that. I was hurting pretty bad too. It was bad enough to where I had some dives scheduled and I had to cancel them because my back was hurting so bad I couldn't walk.
Hey, Najuma.
We tried to get off the ship and she was just like, "Hey, why don't we get you a wheelchair? You look like," and I was like, "Yeah, oh no, well, you didn't request it in time, so we just touched."
It's like, wow, okay. I thought, okay, just fall down and be a turtle out here in the hall, and let's see if that works. If they'll come help us, so probably have to just roll you down the hall.
Yeah.
It was,
Okay, now I've got to help Ross out here. You have a foot injury. Let me say, mate, take Chloe off your foot. Then you'll be okay.
Right.
Now, if it was Donna who had the foot, I'd say take Ross off your foot. But that's besides the point. Man, that dog is so gorgeous.
And I was trying to think of more questions.
Hey, Jen, on the medications, now the stuff that you can take into Australia, you can't necessarily take into Japan.
Yeah, that'd be
Like
right.
over-the-counter cold medications and stuff like that, they're some of them are prohibited in Japan. Some of the ADD and ADHD medications, they're prohibited. You can't take them in. And so, it would be advisable, regardless of which way you're going, whenever you're going to a foreign country, go to their website and see what's prohibited and what's allowed, what what requirements may be, because there's some that say that, yeah, you can take this into our country as long as you have this document, but you get to the next stop and they're like, no, there's no exception for this medication. You can't have it. And, you may find yourself in a bit of trouble because you thought it was okay.
If the ship is going into port, you could leave the medication on board.
Yeah.
right.
But you may have somebody that gets off the ship that has the sniffles, and they think, okay, well, I'll just take this bottle of NyQuil with me. Well, that's prohibited.
Yeah.
In Japan, and they see you drinking out of it, or
and that's probably for any country. I mean, I wouldn't carry stuff into Honduras or in any of the ones here either. I mean, just maybe a little. I mean, I don't want to say common sense, but just you do have to think about like rules and regulations. I mean, we have rules.
If it's medication you got to bring with you, I mean, get on their website and find out what just check to see if it's one that's clear to get through.
And Carnival, at least our experience with Carnival, they're not always going to give you the clearest answer. So it's also suggested that you definitely go check with like whichever countries you're visiting or
the government website.
The government websites and stuff. Just to be cautious. I try to just kind of scan real quick,
Yeah, I think research before you go anywhere to any place you haven't been before.
Yeah. The sad news is that we as travelers have the onus on us to make sure that the information we have is correct. Right. So it's always
no excuse really.
It's always worth your while going out there and checking the country's websites and particularly their health requirements and so forth.
Yes.
And you can't do like a place like Singapore. There are so many rules for Singapore. Chewing gum even and things like that. You really
that's interesting.
Yeah, because they're very strict on chewing gum being just left, put on.
Yeah, and like Jen, where is it? Is it the Bahamas? You can't wear camouflage. I can't remember.
Barbados, Bahamas. Yeah, I know Barbados for sure.
Yeah, and the pages, the travel pages on Facebook and things like that, there's a lot of really good information. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that are, kind of smart alecks and they want to lead you off in the wrong thing. And that's how we found out about the Australian travel visa was somebody mentioning on there, and we're like, okay. So then we went and researched it, because we never got anything that I can remember. Never got anything from Carnival that said, hey, you need this. If you're flying there, you need to make sure and have this documentation there. I mean, because we would have gotten there without it had somebody not said that on the page. And then we looked into it further, because, I mean, that was not something that I had a clue that we would have to do, since we had a U.S. passport. We were coming, and I know that's to get back into the U.S. now, but didn't travel a lot as a child. And we went from Texas to Arkansas and back, and that was about it. I never left the country until this one here is taking me places now. But, I appreciate the help, but I hate to see when people get on there and, just start going off on tangents and stuff, and then yelling at people because they don't know. Well,
or they've asked a question that's already been answered.
I mean, last year was the first time we'd ever been to Australia, and fortunately we had some good people in the group that was able to, to answer. And so now I'm trying with the current group, hey, make sure you have this, and I post a picture of, the ETA. Make sure you're going this one, not these others, and I just.
Hey, Lisa,
gotta be that way,
I want to say this, and please accept it from where it comes. It's from the heart, and this is for general population. When we go on board a cruise or we go to another country, don't think that your country's rules are the most important.
Right.
You can waive the US passport or the Australian passport and expect everybody to bend down to you. Don't expect that treatment. You're in their space. Respect their rules.
I was about to say that.
Yeah, and that's what we learned on that cruise, because we had never everything was local to where all you had to do was a birth certificate would get you in and out.
Right.
And it wasn't until we booked that cruise and started looking at the Facebook page, wow, we didn't even think of this. We didn't think about this. And, we were getting new information.
Well, and I was going to say too, like us Americans sometimes, and I'm going to say Texans too, we're kind of prideful, right? Like we want to wear our camo, and we're just kind of prideful on things that other countries are not so much. And so, and Will G said Jamaica, and that's a great example too. I think we don't think about like other, like for instance, why can't I wear my camo? I wear it here all the time. I go hunting. Well, yeah, but it's also considered like a military, uniform uniform for other countries. And so, you need to just kind of be mindful of what other countries are going to say and do. And I think, one thing that I have learned too is like, sometimes, just being also kind of mindful of just very common gestures like thank yous and just, some things too. Just, it just goes a long way. Just, I feel like sometimes we're like, I'm on vacation, like whoop whoop, and revolves around me. And it's like, well, yeah, just okay, but calm down.
On that note, Jen, I will say this is, I found Ilana likes to sit there and watch me, and then she laughs, because I'll come up to a person and they'll help me out, and they could be, say, Chinese or Asian looking, and I'll go and say, "Xie, thank you," in Chinese. In Mandarin. They may not be Mandarin, who cares? But they get this broad smile on their face, like somebody took the trouble to actually look. And when we were on the on the Grand Princess with Mum and Dad, there was a guy there who was black, and he was African, and I just, in his language, I said, "Hello, how are you?" I said, "Where are you from?" He says, "I'm from South Africa." And I went, in his language, "Dumela, how are you?" And the smile on his face became my friend for the rest of the cruise.
Yes.
At the end of the day, if you can just consider other people, you would be in a much better place.
Yeah.
You'd have a much better time. It's my 2 cents worth.
I feel the same way. Um, and you just never know. Like, and I've heard Bill say this a lot. I know he's not in here tonight, but I've heard Bill say this. Just take the time to ask somebody, like, where are you from? Like, and tell me a little bit. I mean, I know for us, a lot of like having Chloe, a lot of individuals we've encountered, they have kids at home, and they'll, oh, your daughter reminds me of my 3-year-old or my child at home, and I always take time to ask, like, when are you going home? Like, tell me a little bit about your children, something, and you'll see a night and day difference of your conversation, because they light up. They're there working hard, and to provide for those individuals, their family at home, or for better opportunities. And I know for me, it's I have pleasure getting to know somebody better, and like what their story is. Of course, I like to talk about things like that. So I think that's 100% right, Sean. I think that's a great advice.
There's something there that's right. So I mean, Aussies, we only use the passport. In the US, instead of the passport, they can use the driver's license. My suggestion, folks, is if ever you are doing a cruise that leaves your country's jurisdiction, always travel with a passport. Okay, if you do Melbourne to Sydney on a cruise, use your driver's license. That's fine. But if you're doing, say, Melbourne to New Zealand, get your passport. If you're going from Miami down to Bahamas, use a passport. I know you guys can use your birth certificate and your driver's license, but what happens if you get stuck there?
Right.
Oh yeah.
Exactly. And Orange Cone, I want to say goodnight to you before I go into this thought. Hope you have a wonderful night. Enjoyed chatting with you and Donna.
See you, Donna.
Good night.
Bye, Coco.
I was going to say too, for those individuals who are like who have children, you may not, oh, well, it was so easy to get Chloe's passport. I mean, Andrew and I made a reservation with our local post office. I pre-filled out all the documents, had everything. I mean, they give you a list, and I had it all paper clipped, ready to go, in order, and had her photo. They are very particular, for us with the photos. So we made sure that we met those specifications. With Chloe, that was the hardest challenge in getting her passport, was getting her passport photo, because getting her to stand still. Chloe, we need you to stand still against this white background. She was like, you got no. So we actually had to put her in like a shopping cart, and it was a whole deal. But anyways, that was the hardest part of getting her passport. Andrew and I went, she went with us. We, yes, we're both her parents. We signed all the documents, everything we needed to do. And it was so easy. We had her passport back before we were actually renewing ours, had everything just mailed it off. And we had hers back before we had ours. And it was so easy. So if you're kind of on the border about getting your kids' passport, I would say just do it. It makes our life so much easier. We don't have to stand in that long birth certificate line. And two, like, if Meemaw wants to take her and something I can at least say, okay, Chloe has a passport, Meemaw, here's what we need to do.
So here's a ridiculous question.
Sorry, and with the passport, sorry, Sean, they've got the chips in them nowadays.
Yes.
And a lot of them are the automatic, you just pass through the gates, and it's all.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is that we've noticed that some of the ports have the facial recognition and stuff now, to where once they scan your passport and they take your picture, when you get off the cruise, you don't have to really go through customs. You just walk through, and it's like, oh yeah, keep going.
But here's the stupid question I really want to ask, and you might consider it not stupid, but anyway, how much does a passport cost in the US?
About 85. If it's I think it's your first one, it might be 125.
I thought it was
I don't remember. It's been several years, so
$100-something. Chloe's is only good for 7 years at a time. So hers.
And how much was Chloe's?
I want to say hers was 95. I think they've gone up, Tony, probably since y'all renewed yours, but I think hers was like, I'll have to get on the website real quick and look because I don't want to lie to anybody. It was cheaper though.
I mean, that to me, that's close enough. Even if you would have said $100 for 7 years, guys, what's the point of worrying about your driver's license and a birth certificate if a passport is like $7 a year? I mean, give me a break. Seriously. Carry a passport. It's the most recognized form of identification anywhere around the world. Carry a friggin' passport. Now, Simon asked a question.
I was looking at that one. Can we answer that if you don't mind, Jen? That Simon's got a question about P&O Australia. The Dawn Princess has been with P&O for many years now. It is what ship is the old Dawn Princess?
The Dawn Princess is the
time.
Pacific Dawn.
Pacific.
The Dawn, yeah, Pacific Dawn.
Is it?
They kept the name. They just changed the Princess to Pacific.
And they bought
the Golden
since the virus, the old Golden Princess and the Star Princess, I think.
Yeah.
And then now the Pacific Adventurer and the Pacific Explorer. So all the P&O Australia ships, Simon, are old princess, or previous, I should say, previous princess ships.
And I was going to say, I found here it's $130 for an adult passport book.
For how long?
It's for 10 years.
Hang on. $130 for 10 years. That's $13 a year. Give me a break.
Right.
Get a friggin' passport. Seriously.
And I was going to say, here's my expired
you spend
one.
way more than that on your cruise, on your flights, on your accommodation. Get a passport. Seriously.
Yeah, and and I saw Jason said here, like the NCL process was faster and smoother than waiting in the passport line, surprisingly. That's interesting. And so we're going on NCL for the first time in March, and I'm definitely curious to see how other cruise lines do it. With Carnival, we've gotten so used to the facial recognition. Walk off the ship, they scan our face. They even scan Chloe. I mean, it's so easy because they do everything pre-boarding. They, when they're scanning your passport and they're checking you in, they're getting the photos and stuff. They're doing all that right then. So when you walk off the ship, for us, we've been off the ship in like 20 minutes. I mean, it's fast. The birth certificate line. So we had somebody go with us who didn't want to get a passport. And so she had a birth certificate. She didn't want to spend the money, her first cruise. I get that. She waited in line for her birth certificate an hour and a half to get through that process line. Whereas when we had our passports, we were out within 20 minutes. We had to stand there and wait on her for another hour, which is, okay. But I was like, okay, I'm ready to go. Like, I want to get to the car. I want to beat traffic. Like, so I was a little impatient, but.
Actually, it was quite funny for us because when we were in Houston, it took us longer to get through customs than it did for us to get back off the cruise ship in Miami. Get your bags and walk straight out.
Yeah, and see, I was gonna, but yeah, they have the little, so yeah. It's super easy. I didn't want to show all my information there, but I definitely highly recommend it, especially if you're going to consider international travel or some of these journey cruises. I mean, if it's your first cruise and you're just going to Cozumel and back, okay. But there was just a story in the news recently about, those who are riding on the, who were injured in Cozumel and trying to get them back home. So just kind of a thing there. Just kind of keep it mindful. We've asked everyone in the birth certificate lines about. That's, like I said, it's sometimes you're lucky. I know with us and the passport line is a lot faster, but like I said, when we go on Royal and NCL and some of these new cruise lines, new to us cruise lines, I'm interested to see the process.
So we're getting the Resilient Lady popping into Homeport here in Melbourne, as well as that the Disney
the Wish
Wonder.
You're getting the Wish, I think, the new one.
She's coming.
The Wish is coming, but
Down
we've
to
got.
Melbourne.
I think we've got the Wonder in
The
already.
Wonders in Sydney.
Yeah, the Wonders in
It's just
Sydney.
come to Sydney.
And see, I want to go on the Disney Wish, but it's expensive. Although
It's expensive.
Andrew, so we were all joking a while back. I was looking at the interior room for 3 of us to go in the Disney Treasure on the inaugural sailing was $10,000 for the interior room. And I was joking with Andrew and was like, "Hey, what do you think?" And he was like, "You're crazy." So he was like, and then, we were kind of chatting with like Bill and them about it too. And Bill was like, "That's like 10 cruises." And we were just kind of back and forth. Well, then the other day, Andrew was like, "I kind of do want to go in the Disney Treasure because look at this, look at this dining." I'm like, "Yeah, I ain't spending $10,000, Andrew. I was just kidding."
$10,000 is a bucket load of money.
Yeah.
Seriously.
One cruise. Wow.
For one cruise, an interior room. Think about like when you go on Carnival or something. It's like what, $500-$600. Sometimes a little more, a little less, depending on what cruise you're on, what ship you're on. $10,000.
Yeah.
I want to go
How
for
many nights was that, Jen?
7.
I want to go for a cruise. I don't want to own the bloody ship.
Right.
Right. Well, that's where I get in with my daughter sometimes because her and her husband will go to Disney for the weekend, and with all their park passes and food and stuff like that, they're spending $3,000-$4,000 just for the weekend.
Yep.
And it's like, you're nuts. My opinion.
Well,
I mean, because you get to go to for $3,000-$4,000, you get to go to a park. Okay, you can wait on rides and stuff like that. At least I get to go to different countries.
I can think of a bucket load better cruises to go on than spend $3-4 in Disney and do it on a cruise ship, right?
I will say when we went to Disney World in 2022, January last year, we were there for 8 days. And when I went back and added up how much we spent, of course, we spent little at a time. We got our park tickets and our hotel, then we got our flight, and then we did all the dining and plus, all the things for Chloe, all the princess things for Chloe, and all the stuffies for Chloe. Anyways, when I went back and added that up just to see how much we spent within a year and a half of for this Disney trip, and mindful, I was including my mom and I think my mother-in-law, and that we spent over $8,000. And again, it was Disney. It was and it was for I think 4 of us, but the prices have gone up since then. And then I look at cruising and I'm like, my mom gets the $100 offers like Lisa, so does my mother-in-law. I mean, we can all realistically get on a cruise for less than $1,000. It's just for the same 7 days. Now, are we hugging Mickey Mouse and all the things? No, but I really want to go on a Disney cruise, but I can't justify going to Cozumel and paying $5,000 when I can go on the Breeze and pay $1,000.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
For the
Correct.
3 of us.
Hey, I need to answer a question there that Simon has got. Mate, you want to go on another cruise and hit the blackjack tables? I've got a cruise for you. It's almost on your back doorstep. It's going out of Sydney and it's on the Celebrity Edge, and it's going up to the South Pacific. It's including Namibia, Vanuatu, New Caledonia, and Fiji, right? So my suggestion, it's January the 2nd, 2025. Come and join us. It's the Down Under Cruises group cruise. Come and join us.
And we'll get to see the Opera House, right? And the
Well, yeah. Well,
He's in Newcastle, so he knows what it looks
he knows
like,
exactly okay, for those who are uninitiated, the overseas passenger terminal is just between the Sydney Opera House and the bridge, right? It's this side of the bridge. Now, on the other side is called the Rocks.
well, there's White Bay Terminal too, which is under
the bridge.
The
But
smaller ships can go under there.
But the ship's
to
too
White
big
Bay.
to go underneath. But the overseas passenger terminal is just this side of the bridge. So what happens is this: you can stand on the deck, look right,
And you'll
Sydney Opera House,
Bridge.
and just look down there, and there's the rocks, and in front of you,
The rocks.
Circular Quay.
The
Yeah,
rocks.
I know. I was waiting for you to get it. And then on your left-hand side is the Opera House, right? And when it hits like 4:00 or 4:30, the ship pulls away from the pier. It reverses back with its aft underneath the bridge. And then what it does is it sails out of Sydney Harbour, goes straight out. What a view.
It's beautiful. Really is beautiful.
It sounds. And Sean, have you dropped your link so that way H. Simon can connect with you in our chat?
No.
If you're
but
not connected,
I got to do it the other way.
if not, I have my phone up. I'll connect with you. I can drop it in a second.
I'll just.
There, I see you. #nation. And then also anybody in my chat, if you want to drop #nation, that'll drop your channel link as well, so you can connect. And Jason said Disney's on the verge of price gouging. Yes.
But they're not only doing that on board shipping; they're doing that in their parks as well.
Everywhere. Even their merchandise. I mean,
Exactly.
yeah, even their merchandise is got a good markup. So definitely, I feel I'm responsible. I got Chloe all into the Disney stuff, right? That's what you do with a child. But then I'm like, why am I paying all this money? But yeah.
Mum, you only have yourself to
It's a
blame.
rite of passage,
do.
I suppose.
I mean, did I show you that I was Ursula tonight because she was the Little Mermaid?
Yeah, there you go.
I even have tentacle. Let me see.
Oh,
Little tentacle. And Lisa was on the phone with me. Because I called her and I was like, hey, I booked this like sunset cruise. I'm going to try to hurry back. And so I was talking to her, and Chloe had been running because she was the mermaid. She was the Little Mermaid. And I was the Ursula, but I was like, I'm an octopus because she, I was trying to explain it to her. And she was like, and then she couldn't, and I wish Lisa was here. She couldn't say octopus right. It was like octopus or something. But she was like running through the house like, an octopus. And like, I was like chasing her with my little tentacles, and it was, I don't know, we were having fun.
Jen, let me just say, she will grow up.
I know. And I mean, I know I see just the differences, the last couple of years, just in Halloween or the holidays in general. She's so excited for any holiday right now. And so that's why we went to 2 fall festivals today, dressed up as the Little Mermaid. And then we went on a Boo Bash, it was called the Boo Bash Sunset Cruise on a pirate ship. And so it's pirate themed and it's for kids. So they, like there's water guns and little little sword fights, and they do a very animated. And so they get little pirate certificates, whole thing. It was a lot of fun.
Muncie's off to bed.
Good
Catch you later,
night.
buddy.
good night.
I understand Andrew's got the same life. My heart breaks for y'all. But have a great night. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. I did the Dawn Princess.
Hey.
We love the smaller princess ships. We did the Sun Princess. We loved her. Oldie, but a goodie.
Lisa,
Small.
I got a question for you. Why
Yes,
are
sir?
you cold?
I just took the dog outside. It's misting and like 39 degrees.
39 degrees is cold. Fahrenheit,
Fahrenheit.
not Celsius.
Is that would that be like 6 for y'all? Celsius?
39, that's 9. That's
Well,
like
32
that's,
is 0.
Yeah. So that's like 2 or 3.
That's pretty cold. It's, yeah,
Okay.
Whereas we're currently sitting on 20 degrees.
Celsius.
20, 40.
70.
It's about 50.
70.
Yeah, closer to that.
Yeah, it's. I just checked it. It's colder tomorrow. Tomorrow night will be 39. It's 40 degrees. So I misspoke. It's
It's cold.
and like I said, it's misting. So the dog was taking her good time. So here in a few minutes, you'll see me going, "Oh my god!"
I know. I feel
It's that time of the week. It warms up and cools down, and warms up and cools down.
it is. Well, like today was 90 degrees for us, and then they're saying it's going to be like 50 or 40 Monday night for us. And like it's a 40, 50 degree temperature drop. That's hard for me to plan for.
Yeah.
It
So
was like
Melbourne has been
89
known.
last weekend.
Melbourne has been known to get 45 degrees C, 45, 90,
Yeah.
plus 30, 120.
We do get 45-degree days in summer.
Oh wow, that's pretty warm for y'all then.
Just a touch, 120.
But it can be
Fahrenheit?
45 degrees one day and then it's down to like 20 the next day. Melbourne's known
Yeah.
for its 4 seasons
But
in a
it's
day.
dry
It's
here.
very unpredictable.
Well, that's kind of how we are. And is that I was going to ask, is that a dry heat or a humidity, like a heat index?
Obviously here we're more temperate, so it's dry.
Okay,
Thank goodness.
okay. So it's like Vegas.
And that does make a difference. I know I used to be heat's heat. It doesn't matter. But we were in Arizona one time, and it was like 100 and
It was 115
yeah,
on the thing, and that was in Phoenix.
yeah. And we were walking around outside, and I was like, it feels like it's about 90 something out, because we compared to what we're used to in Oklahoma, and then we look down and it's 115. I was just like, no way. And
Meanwhile, here it'll say 90, so you're like, oh, 90, and then it's actually like 120 heat index because of all the humidity and
yeah.
stuff. It's
Yeah, we have
Florida,
that
I found
statement.
Florida really unbearable. It was the humidity.
Humidity, yeah.
And the Caribbean, actually. Just felt so much hotter.
so where we are in South
Yeah.
Texas, we have very similar weather to Florida, and we get the pop up rain and stuff. It's
Our daughter worked in Florida for a while, and we went to visit, and it was February, and it was comfortable. Where I can't imagine what it was like there in June, July, August with her. I mean, I don't do the heat very well, so I have to be careful. And I'm going to Mexico for, was it July? We'll be there the 4th of July weekend. I'm just like, oh, it's going to be hot. I'm nervous about it already. So
You see, we don't mind being in Florida in February. Well, because it's a Melbourne. It's summer here.
Yeah.
Weather here can be like 45 degrees. When we come to Florida, it's like 30. That's like a nice cool down.
right, like you're getting a cold front.
Well,
A multi-channel, Jason. Anytime, you're amazing, and we appreciate you. And I see has anyone been to Mystery Island?
Yes, mate.
yes, we have.
Yes, mate, we
It
were.
was, oh my gosh,
Mystery Island was
Stunning.
absolutely awesome.
beautiful.
Um,
You can walk it in 5 minutes.
Yeah, you
right
can.
around the island.
Yeah.
Very interesting place, actually. It's got an old, it's in Vanuatu. It's an island in Vanuatu. It's actually uninhabited. And the natives, the locals, come over from the closest other island for the day.
it was
Set up little market stalls. But there's an island, a landing strip
it was used by the Americans
in the
during the
World
war,
War. Yeah, the
in the
Pacific.
Second World War.
Oh, neat.
That's beautiful. Scuba diving and snorkeling there.
Absolutely,
Stunning.
you'd love that.
Just ankle deep water to step in, and it's just incredible.
But do please wear your water shoes, your diving.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, I normally wear a rash guard or a protective skin as well as boots and gloves.
Yep.
Yeah.
You'll be
Well, I
going there
know.
again.
Well, Simon, if you came on the Down Under Cruises group cruise
Yes, I think
on
we're
the
going
2nd
back-
of January
yeah, we're going back-
2025,
yeah, we're going back to
we
Mystery
would
Island.
end up back at Mystery Island, so you can come and have a look. Sorry, shameless promotion. Sorry.
Hey, you know what? No, do it. I mean, I know you come on and helped us tonight talk about Australia and learn some things. So you're welcome to plug away. Also, maybe for those who joined later, if you want to talk about Helping Hands for Cruising again too, just in case they didn't catch the beginning of the show.
Sure. So, Helping Hands for Cruising has been going, can you believe, a little over a year now. We do have our 501c3 right now. So, anybody in the US wanting to make donations, and I've got 2 QR codes up here, one being USD and the other one being AUD. We're looking to get people on board a cruise ship. Those are people who have never, ever cruised before. People who might have been the carer of somebody who's disabled, or somebody who's disabled, or somebody who's just had a really hard time in life. Give you a vacation of a lifetime. Come on board. It changes lives. And I can tell you, over the 2 cruises that we've had organized and the 3rd one coming up, it definitely does change lives. All we need to do is look at guys like Kenny, see how much his life has been changed. In fact, Kenny is doing his own cruise in, let me see.
And this was someone who had never seen
13 days he's going on a cruise ship.
Someone who had never seen the ocean before in his life.
He'd never even seen the beach.
He'd never been to a beach before.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
Ocean, never touched, his toes had never entered the ocean.
He calls himself the country hick from Tennessee.
And there he was in Bonaire, his first time having a dip.
And what a place to have your first dip, right? I mean, wow.
Yeah.
That is life-changing. I know we have, our Alaska sailing in June 15th, 2025.
Yes.
On the Norwegian Encore out of Seattle.
You're going on ocean to ocean cruise?
Yes. Well, yes. Yeah, we're going to be there. So so if you're not able to catch one of those, there's other Helping Hands for Cruising cruises, and also just so you know, we often have weekends where we all take turns kind of hosting lives and to raise money for this great organization. So
let me just give you one memory before we move on, and
sure.
This is so when we were in Bonaire, we hired a bunch of golf carts with the view of going around the island and having a look. And in one of the golf carts was young Kenny, and we had Donovan Rush, who's was one of the board members on Helping Hands. And there's this picture we have of the cart near where the slave huts are, and the cart is right down on the water's edge. And Donovan is giving Kenny a lesson about what's in the ocean. Can you believe that? It was the most amazing vision from that trip. Kenny's eyes were dinner plates.
And that's awesome.
Isn't it?
And it's, I mean, to me, like I said, my first cruise, I was about 15 or 16, and it's life-changing. I mean, it stuck with me. I mean, to where now, 20 years later, we have a cruise channel, and those little impacts of going to various countries and seeing different things and encountering individuals and learning their story. It's just, it can be life-changing. I am one who would say I think everybody should cruise. I know there are some people who are like, I can't believe you are going on another cruise. I would never, okay, well, that's nice, but we are. And, I'll try to convince you all you want, but, whatever. But yeah, it's definitely, I know we've participated with, fundraising, a live or two, and we've, we will be there again for sure. So it's a great organization. I definitely want, whenever you're on our live, just so you know, if you're ever on Embarkation Nations channel, you will have the floor to always promote Helping Hands for Cruising in your channels. So
thank you very much.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Yes.
Well, I know Tony has. I know it's Sunday, probably afternoon for you now, right?
Yep.
And so I definitely know you've got to prepare for work, and I want to be mindful of that. I know sometimes we run really, really late on Saturday nights. I know Tony has to get up early. I've been running around all day. So if everybody would like to kind of give, closing, remarks, I guess, why traveling to Australia is important, and just kind of closing it out. I'm going to start with Lisa and Tony, and then I'm going to end with you, Sean.
Cool.
Oh, go ahead. I mean, it's your channel.
I was the first one last time.
Yeah.
Well, we just enjoy cruising because it gives us a chance to get away from
the daily grind.
Yeah.
Going out of Australia was the first time was amazing, and this time we're actually going to get to spend a little bit of time, not near as much as we'd like, but just the ability to see things. Our last trip there was, we thought, the trip of a lifetime, because we did get to go to Fiji and Tahiti and Hawaii, and I've never been to any of those. And then now to do it again and to take him back to Japan is, I'm excited for that, to see how happy it makes him. But just meeting people and like we said, everybody that we met in Australia, even we're at the new cruise port, and it turned out to be kind of a disaster of a day, because they told us they were going to switch from Australia to an American cruise or to a U.S. cruise in Hawaii, and they decided to do it the morning of. And everybody was confused. It was like chickens with their heads cut off, running around trying to figure out. And the lady that was standing there at the door, she greeted every one of us and would just, the people in front of us were the last group to go in, because they were taking them in like groups of 5 or 10 at a time. And we stood there and talked to her, and she, just like you guys, come back, come visit, move here. It's wonderful here, and all the things that we heard there in Moria about, the wonderful life in Australia, and, benefits, how it differs from here, because our guide there was from the U.S. and moved over, and just talked about how much better it was. It gave us the opportunity to visit the different, not only countries, but different cultures, and to get a little glimpse of it. And we try with our kids to say, oh, you should do this. You should, neither one of them are interested in cruising. And, it's sad for me, because we don't get to, vacation with them anymore. They're grown and doing their own thing now, but that's not their thing. And the youngest one, she's all about Disney. So you go enjoy your Disney. We're going to go enjoy other countries and cultures, and then just, come back and just rave to all of our family and friends about how wonderful the adventures were and what we got to see and learn about the other cultures. And that's really my favorite part. We didn't start cruising until our 25th wedding anniversary. So we were a little bit older when we started, and we're trying to play catch up, but it's been amazing. Just like I said, learning the different cultures and things throughout, and look forward to coming back. And I wish we had the opportunity to meet you guys in your country, but when you come to Houston, let us know. And if we can break off and get down there, we might even bring Dory along with us. It kind of depends. It's only a 6-hour drive, so.
Tell you what, that dog will be licked to death.
She will love it.
She would. She loves being petted and loved on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I can't understand why anybody would not want to cruise. Seriously.
Well, until they try it, it's real easy, because we hadn't done it. It was real easy to justify not doing it, and it wasn't until the guy that I was working for he really didn't twist my arm, but he gave me, look, I'll give you plenty of work. That way you can pay for it. I'll even pay you under the table, so I'll give you plenty of work. Da, da, da. I mean, he just went out of his way to make sure I had the money to pay for it. And he just kept on and on and on. And I finally was like, okay, I'll go ahead and do it. And here we are.
Yeah.
Well, we came to cruising quite late ourselves. Only 2016 was our first cruise, and it was actually our honeymoon. And it was just accidental because we had been looking around. We thought maybe we'd go to a resort in Thailand or Southeast Asia, or maybe, go to Bali. And we were just looking at prices. And we'd never actually considered a cruise before. I was one of these who were like, why do I want to go on a cruise for? And so we thought, we looked at pricing and discovered that we could go on a cruise for far cheaper than it was to go to a resort somewhere.
Yeah.
And we wake up in a different country, in the morning and see other places, unpack once.
Right.
So that's how we came to it. And, we got hooked. Myself, I was quite surprised, actually. I really wasn't expecting to love it. Actually, I was surprised that you did more than anything. Yeah. And if it wasn't for other people's vlogs, actually, thanks to YouTube, we did so much research. I can tell you, so much research. And that was thanks to YouTube. And I think that's probably why he squirreled himself away and in the room quietly creating a channel. Anyway, we love showing off Australia. We love it. We love people to come here. Aussies are very passionate about Oz, I believe, I know. And as I said before, at the start, it is unique. You won't see things, especially wildlife, kangaroos and koalas, anywhere else in the world.
Platypus.
The platypuses. No one knows the plural of platypus.
Neither do they.
No. No, that's a great place to come. We'd love to show it off.
I didn't even think about the platypus. I mean,
Platypuses,
when I was younger, that was like my favorite animal. I don't know why. Never seen one, but I remember the Thai beanie baby. Like, I'm throwing my age here, but I had to have it. Had to have it.
Well, look, a disconnected
They're
duck.
really unusual.
I know, but I don't know. I'm into. They look cool to me. They still do.
Yeah.
They still.
Yeah.
They are actually not that big. They're only roughly about yay big.
What?
And they squirrel away.
And they have venom. They actually have a venomous spur on them.
Yeah.
On their hind legs, feet.
Okay, like a chicken, like a spur, like a chicken foot.
Yeah,
Kinda.
Kinda. Spur. It is actually, yeah.
And then we've got the Tassie Devil. You've got to see the Tassie Devil.
They don't look anything like the cartoon character, right?
No.
I was about to ask. I knew they looked different, but I was just going to be silly and I'd be like,
They're very sweet looking. They make a horrible noise, though. Gosh.
oh
Scary
yeah.
noise.
So,
Oh no.
funny story that there was. I met a lady on the last cruise. We get to talk and find out. I had worked with her husband 23 years ago down in Fort Worth. And so we get back and we're looking at their pictures and stuff. And they had gone, I don't remember if it was the koala sanctuary or where it was. They went and they, pictures with the koalas and all the platypus and all. And I'm just like, oh, we went to KFC, and I was like, oh, and then there was a beautiful picture of three kangaroo on a beach. Supposedly it's two males fighting over a female is what it was. And I was like, oh, we missed those too. I need to go back. And so we're going to go back, and hopefully the one day that we have to spend, I'll get to see all of them at once. And then after the first of the year, we're going with Jen on a cruise, and we're going to see the tell me, where are we going to go see, Jen? I forget.
We're going to see the sloth.
Sloths, yes. So I'm excited about that. So hopefully within a 5-month period there, I'll get to see, all of the animals that I just
Here's a
love.
fun fact for you.
Hmm?
Do you know that a kangaroo cannot go backwards?
Well, it makes sense because of the tail, but no, I did not. Is that why?
Nor an emu. An emu can't either. That's why they're on our coat of arms, because we're continually moving forwards. Not backwards.
I love it.
That's why I
It seems
came.
like I did see the kangaroo thing on like this is gonna sound weird, a Snapple lid. Like you know how they have the fax. It seems like, but I didn't know that about the emu. That's cool. This has been so. I mean, I will say the first thing when I was on the like Lisa and Tony are showing me around, I'm like, does the water really swirl the opposite? Like I had them like plug their sink and like try it out, but
This is always a question that we
It
don't
is.
quite know the answer to because the water
Just
just
goes down.
It doesn't sort of swirl.
right. Like,
Listen,
Well, it
you,
didn't-
you've got to understand something, Jen. We are the land down under. So here everything goes down under.
Right.
You guys that worry about the swirl, not us. It just
Yeah.
goes down under.
I know, but I had to have them like test it out. There was a couple things, and I was like, "Can you also bring me back a boomerang?" Like, please.
The problem
I
with
still
the-
have it. You will have it in December.
The problem with the boomerang is when you actually get it, it doesn't stay in your hands very long because it goes back to where. Yeah. Okay. Shut up, Sean.
That's just a stick. And if it doesn't come
I
back,
love
what do you
it.
call a boomerang that doesn't come back? A stick.
Stick.
We also have a jar of Vegemite for.
You
Oh,
do.
dear. Oh dear.
We're gonna try it on the Jubilee.
Oh,
Do you have an RV?
Do we have an RV? No.
Yeah, because if you've got your vehicle, your truck, and you're towing an RV, the Vegemite makes a really good axle ball grease.
No, tell her how wonderful it is because we brought it all the way back for her to try. Her and Andrew.
When you have
have you
okay,
tried it yourselves?
He
Yes.
did. I did not. I bought it.
so
It was
you're
not
very
for-
brave.
I
the
bought it,
trick,
provided it for him.
the trick to having Vegemite is you've got to have toast. Put butter on top, and then put a very very thin smear
Thin.
of Vegemite over the top.
Says this person who doesn't even eat it himself because he
Correct.
can't stand it.
Correct. but you've got to put a very thin smear.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you'll find it overbearing.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what we found out this after we tried it the first time. And,
You learn quickly. Yep.
yeah. And then I've also read to where it's good on sandwiches, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, no.
Toast is the best.
I thought that sounds like yeah, that's a no.
You can put a little, like a teaspoon in stews and casseroles. You're doing a beef casserole or something.
I can see that.
Yeah.
Do you know what its origins are? Do you know where?
Even
Do you
though
know
it's
where
not
it
beef.
comes from? Do you know what it's made from?
It's beer yeast, right? Or
Correct.
Yes, yeast.
So when they finished making the beer, they take the yeast and then they turn it into Vegemite.
Oh,
Mm.
interesting.
And it used to be
I
banned
don't like
in
beer,
prisons.
It used to be banned.
In prisons, yes, because of it was from beer.
The
Oh,
alcohol.
so I don't know.
Oh,
At one stage, yes.
that's I would never even thought of that. That's interesting.
Which technically you can't get drunk on it.
Well, listen,
Probably, I don't know what the thinking was there.
the prisoners that I've actually, well, the prison officers that I've had a chat to have said to me, they make alcohol out of all sorts of things.
Yeah, I have heard that. Yeah.
I do. I worked that's one of the things I did for 28 years was worked in a prison.
Man, you gotta have a very different way of thinking when you work in one of those places.
You do.
Yes.
That you do.
It definitely changes you if you don't. It's a very difficult job, and not everybody can do it. We actually had a lady that the inmates called her Barbie, and we did not think she was going to cut it. She ended up being one of the best officers that I ever worked with. So
We had the one that I was working at up here, we had an open house, and her dad came up, and I took him on a tour.
I always thought he was tough.
Yeah, and after we got done, he says, "You do realize you gave 2 tours today, or you gave me 2 tours today?" And I was like, "What do you mean?" He says, "My first and my last. I will never go back in one of those."
Yeah.
So I used
because of the doors that were slamming. Any place we went, we had to hit a button, and somebody'd bring us up on camera, and then they would buzz us through, and then the door would slam and lock behind us. And he said that he did not like being locked in anywhere.
So I was doing some first aid training for some guards, for the guards here at the women's prison in Melbourne. And the thing that actually got me was there is a lady who's inside. She's got her daughter as well, and the daughter has just had her baby. So now we've got a baby, the mother and grandmother all in jail at the same time.
Wow.
And you look and you go,
heartbreaking.
Where's the future for that kid?
Exactly.
Right.
Sad.
That's hard. That's heartbreaking. And I work in kind of a government role as well, and you sometimes see things, and it's like you see that cycle, and at least for here in the United States, we have a lot of programs and stuff in place, but it's still, you just see that cycle, and it's hard to see. And you always and I always think of like Chloe, it's like, you always think about, I don't know. I just think about that. And that's why I'm like, I want to keep her focused on like traveling and things she can do in life and see.
Yeah.
I want her to see that there's a life outside of, Texas, the United States. There's a lot of people I've met that's never left, whatever town we're in. And it's like, you never left. Oh, well, I went to Houston. Well, there's more in life than Houston. I promise you. As cool as Houston is, there is more to life in it, and that's always been our, luckily Andrew's just as passionate about those things as I am. So I'm very fortunate in that aspect, is where like we're both like very travel focused and believe in that when it comes to parenting. And I don't know. I can't imagine the things that happen.
Tony and Lisa, all I want to say to you guys is congratulations for being so well adjusted for getting out of those places. Because, talking to some of the guards, you've either got a very sick sense of humor or you've got to totally change your personality. And for you to walk out of there and be as well adjusted as you guys are, I take my hat off to you. So congratulations.
Thank you. It definitely makes you look at just everything differently. And one of the kids is now with the media, and I think she kind of understands a little more what she grew up with us and didn't understand at the time, because she's seeing we tried to say, look, it's not all fun and games and roses, and people live these kinds of lives, and she's seeing the other side, that it's not mom and dad saying it now, that wow, they were not lying to us, that this truly is this way. And she loves her animals, and that's that's her comfort right there, is to go home to her fur babies, and hopefully it does not change her, even that side of it not being where we were, just she can walk away. And that's one thing we tried to do when we came home. We took off this hat and put on the mom hat, and and tried to keep those parts, not really a split personality, but it was two separate lives.
Right.
Don't bring that home, and don't take home there and talk about home there. That was, sometimes it's hard to do. You let your guard down, and then you realize, wait, where I am, who I'm talking to. And, it's just a necessary thing, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And it's not getting any better. But
No. And you know, like I said, I think the thing to say here too, in some of these closing remarks, is that, you know, looking at other countries, we tend to be more on guard, and we tend to and think of things, you know, like I said, oh, you have big spiders, you have this, or whatever social media tells us, right? But I think once you're out of somewhere, and you do your research, and you take an opportunity such as going on a cruise, and really educate yourself about some of these places, you're going to see that it's not what you initially thought.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, I can show you some areas here in South Texas that you're going to be just as scared in. And we've got big spiders and scorpions and snakes and you name it. We've also got some people who are not unfortunately the best, and you just don't go down that street or that area or whatever. But that's anywhere. That's everywhere.
Right.
You know, so again, just like when you're at home, you learn, you educate yourself. Oh, you learn what areas to go into, maybe learn the rules, regulations, customs, and
Right.
and just be smart. I mean, I think that's the thing that sometimes you got to be smart and not afraid to try something new. I mean, so many people I talk to are afraid to try something new, and I'm like, why? Like, you don't know that you don't like it until you try it. I mean, I'm not hearing the best about Vegemite, but I'm going to try it, you know, just so I can mark it off the list. And then that way, when I come back from my cruise in January, I can say, Sean, Alana, I tried it. I did it. Now,
it's okay to not like it too. That's fine.
Right. Now, you know, Foster's is a good beer to cook chicken with. I'm sorry. Just joking.
You can use it as a palate cleanser after the Vegemite. That's about all it's good for, I can tell you.
Lisa, Tony, do you know who that person is over there?
Yep.
Yeah, you.
Yeah, it seems like I've been around her for a year or two.
Yeah.
The fact that she brings up that, what do you call it?
That F word.
The F word.
Around here, the new F word is
Yeah.
I will say, in our defense, it's been, other than her last graduation, it's been a few years since we've been around her. So, you know.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's right.
Y'all haven't seen me since May of last year, right? No. Well,
Is that when you graduated?
22. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Spent the weekend there. So, yeah. Before that, it was a weekend or a day trip to Windstar.
Yeah. How many times have y'all seen Chloe in person? About like what, 5 times?
I don't think it's been that many.
Yeah.
I know it was at Windstar twice, once with him, once without him, and then graduation. I think that's it.
Yeah. So, I mean,
But she loved her Uncle Tony.
Oh, she does. Well, that girl. Today, I'm in the car. I'm taking her. We're going to the Maritime Museum and doing doing all the candy, and yeah, Chloe, go ahead and grab 6 pieces. Yeah, go ahead, you know. And then she gets like a bucket full of all this, like, it's like toys, candy, learning, you know, all kinds of stuff. I'm like, okay, so we run it home, and then I could take her to a second one. It's at like a local church by Andrew's work, and they had bounce houses, face painting, you know, all this, and yeah, Chloe, go ahead. Well, we're leaving there, and we passed Daddy's work, and she's like, there's Daddy's work, and I'm like, yeah, there's Daddy's work. She's like, he's my best friend.
Oh,
She said, what about Mama? No, Mama's not my best friend. And I was like, I'm just gonna like drop you off with Daddy while he's out.
Pull over and open the door. Get out.
But she, I mean, you know, it's funny because sometimes she'll tell Andrew like, "Mama's my best friend," but she, but yeah, she's like a daddy's girl. Like it's She only wants me when she's sick or something's wrong or daddy's upset her. And then mama's her friend. But daddy is her world.
That's
I think
typical with
I
girls.
think that's typical with girls.
Get used to it.
Oh, so we got a Paw Patrol bed. We took her crib down and her toddler bed and we took our old guest bed. It's a queen size bed, and we went ahead and made it into her big girl room and just went ahead and just it's a bed we had instead of buying another, just use that one. And this way she has room for all her Mickey Mouses. And she thinks that so we put a little TV in there for it's like a little computer monitor, and we put for her Paw Patrol and stuff. And she thinks that's her. She thinks Daddy's moved out too. Like she was like, no, that's Mama's room. Daddy's. I'm like, no, Daddy's coming back to Mama's room. He's just helping you get situated. She's like, no. I told her just, I'm like, should I go ahead and just pack your stuff now, like, and put it down? He was like, no. But it's just funny. The way her little mind works. I mean, like I was telling him earlier, Lisa, that she was trying to say octopus, and just it was like an enemy, like in Finding Nemo, like just trying to get the word out.
Off the PS or something. I forget what it was. It was cute.
Octopus. It was like a P instead of an octa. It was octopus. Octopus. Hey, on deck with TV.
Hi.
Okay, well.
G'day.
But I know I actually on deck with Adam and them, we were gonna actually say goodnight because I know it's Sunday afternoon for them. Oh, hi, Michael and Swell Mama.
Jen, you're running true to form.
Huh?
You're running true to form.
What do you mean?
Well, you start off by saying goodbye, and 3 hours later, you're still there.
No, I said I wouldn't do it. I know. I promise. Thank you for popping by. I'm going to be on. Okay. So good night, everybody. I know our friends in Australia, they got to get ready for work tomorrow. Our friend Lisa and Tony have to, they have plans tomorrow. And so anyways, good night, everybody. We love you. Thank you so much. Please go follow.
Thank you for having us so much. Nice to meet you, Lisa and Joni.
Nice to meet you.
It was nice meeting you.
And please go follow the Down Under Cruisers and Travel and Tech. Please support them. They're amazing.
I only need 8 more for 100.
You only need 8 more for 100?
Yeah.
All right. All right, guys. Good night.
Bye, all.
All right.
To the traveling checks.